and welcome to episode 9 of Git Radio. This week is a very special show. We are giving you the full rundown of the Scottish Championship GT. We're all super excited, and today we are joined by none other than Captain Fantastic, the Scourge of the South, the second best EOS player in Britain. It's Felix Newman.
Hello everybody.
How's it going, Felix?
It's good, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to have you on the show finally. We've been trying to get you on for a wee while. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity since you are running the GT. You're the man foolish enough to suggest such a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure to finally be on the show.
And as always, I'm joined by the Laurel to my Hardy. It's Paul.
How's it going, man? Hope everyone's good. I'm enjoying your little analogies every episode. I think you're going to run out of.
Oh man, I've got
duos.
I've got the Blues Brothers, and that's me fucked. That's it. After that,
there's always Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis and Butthead. That's a good one. I'll write that down. What's the shit? I had a duo there, but that's gone. So we'll cut that
Bill
one
and
out.
Ted.
Bill and Ted's good. How's it going, Paul?
It's good, man. Just getting everything as ready as I can for the tournament. Really looking forward to it.
As am I. So we'll talk a lot about, obviously, the tournament in this episode because it is the focus. But before we go any further, I was thinking what we could do is get Felix just to introduce himself to anyone that doesn't already know of him. So Felix, who are you?
That is a great question. So, I mean, obviously you can hear from my accent, I'm very, very Scottish, and that's why I'm taking over the running of the Scotland ETC team for this year. So after last year, Alex and some of the other guys asked me to take over the team for this year, and the brief that I gave myself was to get more of you real Scottish local lads involved in it, and also to do everything we could to run a 2-day GT up in Scotland to give everyone sort of a flavour and a taste for what a GT weekend is like, and hopefully get some of the Scottish Wildings clubs. I know you guys are massive and you have a lot of meetups. Get you guys all involved more in the tournament scene and hopefully entice you south of the border to a few more events. So for me, I've been playing war games for about 2.5 years now. Been playing Ninth Age since the start of things. I'm an ACS for Empire, along with yourself, obviously, Andrew. And before that, I was a general playtester. So I've had a pretty nice involvement in the Ninth Age in general, and doing everything we can to help develop the game is a big priority.
Absolutely, we are the A team when it comes to ACSs. So all you Empire players out there, you're in safe hands. So obviously, GT's coming up. We're recording today on the 28th of February, in the snowy north, where it's actually getting pretty scary outside, the amount of snow that's fallen, but it's cool. We've got beer, we've got our lists, so the show will go on. So Felix, how about you give us a rundown of this GT that's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 10th of 11th of March, Common Ground Games in Stirling. It's a 2-day event with 23 players signed up at the moment. I'll make the 24th as a spare player if I have to, but obviously if anyone's listening to this and wants to come along last minute, please reach out and we'll find a spot for you. The turnout is obviously been pretty good, and the armies chosen have also been pretty good. So every army is going to be there except for the High Elves and the Demon Legion. The only bad thing is that there's 3 Dwarf players and 3 VC players. So obviously, that's going to bring down the mood of everyone at the tournament. But we've got a good prize for best painted, so make sure you bring all your best painted armies along. That's being supported by Cromlech, and Andrew and Paul have arranged some pretty amazing trophies for first, second, third place and most sporting. These are amazing sort of, I don't know how you throw them. They're weapons, I guess, aren't they, really?
Yeah, I went in my shed, just spray painted it gold. It'll be fine.
Get like a rake and a machete and a few other things.
You might get tetanus, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, really looking forward to it, and obviously looking forward to doing the draw with you guys and talking through some of the lists.
Yeah, so that's the purpose of today's episode, if you haven't guessed it already. What we're going to do, just to give you a general overview, Felix has devised some kind of mad hat plan to do this draw. So we'll do the draw. We'll talk through what the pairings will be for that crucial round 1, and then we're going to go through each of the round 1 matchups and talk a bit about both the lists involved and give our pro insights / into who we think might get the edge on the matchup. And then once we've gone through all the players and all the lists, we'll sit back and we'll kind of give an overview and maybe have a discussion about who we think is going to edge it in 2 weeks' time. So, without any further ado, how about we get this draw on the road? So, Felix, do you want to explain this this crazy draw that's happening?
Yeah, that's probably fair. So, without obviously, you guys out listening to the podcast, you probably won't know this without seeing their entry list, but the entry has been split almost half and half down the middle with the Team Scotland guys, both the team itself and the coaches, of which so that makes up 10, and then the mighty Scottish Wildlings Club. I think there's going to be 8 of those guys who are not on the team, but are Scottish Wildlings at the event. So what we wanted to make sure was that all of the Scottish Wildlings that came along are not going to end up playing the same guys they play, every week and every month. And then the same thing for the Team Scotland guys that, we play each other a lot, both on the table and sort of on Universal Battle. So we thought, hey, look, we're coming up to meet everyone and to have a good time and have some beers. So make sure we don't play each other and play someone new. So what we've done is we put all of the Team Scotland boys and a couple of what we call them hangers-on, who are not Scotland or Wildlings, in Pool A. And they've been numbered 1 to 12. And then all of the Wildlings and the rest of the other guys, which I think is 4 of them, they're going to be in pot B, and they've been given the letter A to L. What we'll do is I'll just say, Andrew, pick a number, and hey, Paul, pick a letter, or other way around. You guys shout that out to me, and I'll tell you who's been drawn together. The only bit to this that's a little bit different is we'll make sure that Andrew and also Ed Murdoch, who are both Team Scotland and Scottish Wildlings, because they're obviously just great players and fantastic guys.
Yeah, that's the reason.
We'll make sure that those guys are drawn first, and they guys can only be drawn against 4 of the non-Wildling players in pool 2. So obviously that's very confusing and no one understands what's going on. So what will probably end up happening is we just fix the draw. But hey, it'll be fine. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we've got to give the appearance of democracy and fair play, when in reality, yeah.
So we've preordained. I've taken all the bribes, and it's going to be great.
So I'm playing Felix first round, so that's nice.
Yep, exactly.
Right, so do you want to do Ed's draw first then? Is that easiest?
Yeah, sure. So, let's see. So you can be the numbers man, Andrew. Do you want to pick number 1 or number 2?
I'll pick number 2.
Number 2. So that is obviously you're number 1 and Ed's number 2.
Obviously, come on.
That goes without saying. And then, Paul, if you want to pick A, B, C, or D for me.
Let's go with C.
C. So looking down the list, C is Mr. Stephen Dorning. I believe he's your Empire hobby rival at this event. Okay, good times.
Awesome.
Right, so then number 1 obviously is you, Andrew.
Yep.
Paul, you've got A, B, and D to choose from.
Right, Paul, don't fuck this up.
No pressure. Let's just go with A then.
Go with A, okay. And that one is Barry Lynch.
Okay, that's not good.
Do you know what Barry Lynch is playing?
Yeah, like one of the 2 armies that I didn't want to play all weekend. That's great. I'm okay with that.
All of Chaos, yeah.
Woo! Fun times.
Good time.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I hate you, Paul.
Yeah, well done.
Okay.
Right, okay. Let's crack on. So you've got numbers between 3 and 12 to choose from.
Okay, let's go number 7.
Number 7 is Gary Quirk.
Okay.
Gary's playing Infernal Dwarves, I think. And then, Paul, you have got everything up to L except for A and C. This is going to get confusing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's all good. I've been writing it down as we go. So
good man.
Let's go with K.
K. Oof. That's one off the books for someone else. That's Chris Legg, a late entrant.
Ooh.
That's going to be an interesting and tough game. Right. So next one, pick a number, Andrew.
So Chris is playing VC, isn't he?
Chris is playing VC. Yeah, he's playing a big slab of skeletons, loads of wraiths, and a few other toys.
Okay, so let's go for number 10.
Number 10. Number 10's me, or the spare player, whoever it is. So let's see who you're going to inflict me upon. Paul.
Let's try F.
F is Munro Armitage.
Oh, interesting.
I think he's playing elves of some description.
Yeah, Dread Elves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that will be interesting. So if it is me as a spare player, I'll be playing. I'll be borrowing Ed's Kingdom of Equitaine. So that could be an interesting game. Right, number from you, Andrew.
Oh fuck, this is getting exciting now. Right, okay, let's go for number 12.
Number 12. Number 12 is your fellow coach Tim Bucknet.
So Tim brought a fucking disgusting list. So pick wisely, Paul.
B.
B is you, Paul.
B for bollocks.
B for he's got 2 organ guns.
Yay.
Right, Andrew, back to you for the number.
Okay, let's go for number 9.
Number 9 is John Turner. Not bad. And then a letter from you, Paul.
Let's go with D.
D is Alex Thomas.
Alex is bringing Dread Elves?
Is he the gentleman bringing 60 Dread Judges?
Yeah, he's that filthy fuck.
Wow, that might not be the thing that he wants to walk into some bombardiers, but hey, we'll see. It could be interesting. Okay, a number from you, Andrew.
Let's go for 5.
5 is David Johnson.
Deej?
Yeah, Deej, yeah, with quite a nice little dwarf list as well. And then a letter, Paul.
Let's go with L.
L, the last one, is Henrik Mao.
Ooh.
With ogres. Cool. So, next one.
Let's go for 8.
8 is Gareth Barton. Currently away in New Zealand, back at home, and also sent in a wildly illegal list, so that'll be a good one.
He did tell us that we had to be filthy when we were making lists, so...
He did, yeah. And so a letter from you, Paul.
Let's go with H.
8 is Guillermo Bardera.
Wow.
Nice.
G versus G.
Saurian Ancients, okay.
That might actually be okay.
They've got 3, 4, 6, and 11 left.
Let's go 11.
11 is Melvin Campbell.
Let's go with G.
G is Chris Bond. So that's the last of the non-wildlings left in the draw. And then a number.
Let's go for 6.
6 is another late entrant, Mr. Jack Austin.
Ooh.
With what I think is probably the filthiest list in the whole event. So it'll be fun going through that later.
Mm.
Let's pair him up with J.
J is Martin Bueno.
Sorry, Martin.
Yeah.
I can hear Martin swearing already.
With Sylvan Elves, yeah, they like playing VC, right?
That's their ideal matchup, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so we got number 3 and number 4 left, which is either Alex Wheatley and Kieran Dunn, not necessarily in that order.
Okay, so let's go 4.
Number 4 is Kieran Dunn, and then we have got E and I left.
Let's go with I.
I is Andy Cohen.
Oh.
Which leaves Mr. Alex Wheatley against Nick Armitage. And that is our lot. So I'll quickly just run through those. So we've got Andrew versus Barry Lynch. We've got Ed versus Stephen Dorning. Gary Quirk versus Chris Legg. Me or another person against Munro Armitage. Tim Bucknet against Paul McNeil. John Turner against Alex Thomas. David Johnson against Henrik Mao, Gareth Barton playing Guillermo Bardera, Melvin Campbell against Chris Bond, Jack Austin against Martin Bueno, Kieran Dunn against Andy Cohen, and Alex Wheatley against Nick Armitage.
Well, there's some tasty matchups in that one.
Seriously interesting matches there, yeah, for sure.
I know what's going to happen. I already know. There's no point in me playing that. I know. It's cool. So I'm not going to be able to kill enough of Barry, right? And Tim's going to shoot the shit out of Paul, and then I'm going to play Paul second round, and I'm still not going to be able to kill Paul. So
I mean, I'll make sure that does happen, obviously if there's...
Of course. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not fixed or anything, yeah. That's fine.
No, definitely not fixed or anything.
Awesome. Right, okay, so there's obviously a lot to get our teeth sunk into in that one. So how about we just start at the top and then work our way down?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the first draw that we made was Ed against Stephen Dorning. Okay, so Ed's list. So Ed is bringing Orcs and Goblins.
He is.
So this was the very shitty variant of Orcs and Goblins that the ETC team we were all talking about. And this was your idea, wasn't it, Felix? So he's got
Unfortunately, yeah, I did. So this is the list that I wrote for Ed, and he's very graciously said that he will give a fair shake to and try and play it. He's been a good soldier.
Okay, so you should go through it then.
Yeah, sure. So shall I read out the list itself, or do you want me to just sort of go through the points of it?
I would just quickly run through the list.
Okay, so there's a Orc Shaman in the list, Wizard Master, the Crown of Autocracy and Heathen General. He's got the Destiny's Call for a 4/4 up and the Skull Fetish. Skull Fetish, for people who don't know what it is you can activate it at the start of the magic phase. You add up all of your units that are in combat, and you minus from that number the number of your units that are fleeing, and whatever the plus or minus, well, obviously it'll be a plus if you activate it, is how many Veil tokens you get extra, and that's capped at 3. Later on, you'll see there's quite a few small characters and chaff things. So you can chuck those into combats if you want and try and turbocharge your magic phase. Got just a standard Orc Chief BSB, an Iron Orc with a great weapon and an armor save. Then there's a couple of Feral Orc Cowboys. So these are Orc Chiefs with Lance, Light Armor, and Shield and a Warball. So they've got, I think it's a 3-up, 5-up, and they're 190 points each. So they're really nice, cheap guys that are flexible for going into monsters at strength 7 or just parking in front of things you want to chaff up. Then there's a couple of crazy Goblin Witch Doctors on Goblin Wolf Chariots. They're 145 points each. So it's like 15 or 20 more points than the regular chariot. It just seems mad not to take them. You get an extra, you get the Pyromancy #1, the Magic Missile, and the Thaumaturgy #1, another Magic Missile. So they're chaff. They give you some extra shooting. It's pretty nice. Then there's Core, which is 3 units of 24 Common Orcs, full command, bow, shield, spear. So these guys you deploy in horde formation, and with the new horde rules for volley, you get to fire all 24 shots every turn, essentially. When something nasty comes near to you, you reform 5 wide, and you're still getting 15 strength 4 attacks when they charge you, with all the nice AP and agility bonuses that come with that. Then there's an artillery park of 3 skewers, 2 Git launchers, some chaff and some chaff clearers, 2 wrecking teams and 2 scrap wagons, and then a gargantula with a web launcher to sit back, give you more fire, then also hopefully keep something off your flank. Just sort of running through the general idea of it, it's built around taking off monsters and hard characters. So looking at the rest of the list for the event, I think really he can do very, very well, as there's lots of multi-wound monstrous infantry, lots of sort of solo flying characters, some monsters, things like that. So if he can get to grips with a play style that he's not used to, I think Ed could do in general really well.
Yep. I mean, it's a solid list, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I played Ed at the weekend, and it didn't go well for Ed, but I think it wasn't the list in particular. It was just that Ed's quite an aggressive player. He had a couple of opportunities where maybe he shouldn't have pushed, but it's just in his nature to want to do that, and I think he pushed when he shouldn't have, which cost him in the long run. So I think if Ed can kind of sit himself down and just say to himself, that's not how this list operates, and he plays quite conservatively and just looks to do that range damage, I think it's a really nasty list. But I just think Ed needs to conquer himself first.
It's very obviously an ETC list.
Yeah.
It's a safe list that can sit back and get points and not be too risky. But like you say, all Ed wants to do is get a big slab of feral orcs and throw them down someone's throat. So it's really good of him to test this list and also test himself and see if he can tweak his play style. Because if he can, then fantastic. If he can't, then great. At least we know, and we can change up his list for when the ETC comes around.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity for him. Right, so he's going up against Stephen Dorning. So Stephen is bringing EOS. Do you want me to run through this one?
Yeah. Empire ACS.
So I should know. Oh, here's a funny thing. I thought Imperial Guard were Agility 4, and Paul messaged me this morning saying, nah, they're Agility 3. I was like, So that was showing my pro knowledge right there.
To be fair, that was only because I had just reviewed his list, and that was the only reason I knew that. I actually thought he had group weapons on that unit. He doesn't. It's hand weapon and shield. You had to point that out to me.
So, Stephen's bringing Empire. His general is Marshal, who has a great tactician upgrade, so he has 2 orders. He has a shield, death warrant, Imperial seal, and the lucky charm. So basically that means that he's got 2 orders, death warrant, which means that if the Marshal strikes before the parent or support unit that are also engaged in that combat, and he does a successful hit, those units get battle focus. So it's potentially very, very nasty. He will be agility 5 though, which is something he's got to watch for. He will have parry because he's got the shield. He's got a 1-up armor save with a single reroll, and he's that really important discipline 10 for Empire. The BSB is pretty bare bones. It's a Marshal again with shield, black steel, and the Dusk Forged upgrade for his shield. So that basically just means that he's got 1 order, he's got a 1-up armor save. He causes fear, but that 1-up armor save is also rerollable because of the Dusk Forged shield. He's got a pretty bare bones prelate with just plate armor and a shield, but of course the big thing about the prelate is that he's given the unit he's in hatred, and he also has access to those 3 bound spells in the form of prayers. For wizard, he's gone for a single wizard master on alchemy. He's gone down the same route as me, so that'll be 4 spells, and he'll get his +1 in channel. For core, he's got 34 spears with full command in the household standard. Spears are just really, really good just now, so solid choice. And he's got an 18-inch inspiring presence if the general goes in that unit because of the standard. He's got a 20-man heavy infantry unit with halberds, so they'll be a support unit. And if they're in close proximity to one of his parent units, they'll be getting fighting extra rank as well as all the ranks for steadfast. So potentially a nasty combo there if he gets any counter charges off. He's got 10 state militia with pistols and skirmish. These guys aren't the butt bandits that they used to be. But they're still pretty useful, especially now that they've got insignificant back to parent units. So you can definitely try and pull some shenanigans there. To fill out core, he's got 2 units of 15 light infantry with crossbows, which are just awesome just now. Fire in 3 ranks if they're close to the parent unit. You can give them the accurate order. So that's a 30-inch bubble of strength 4 goodness that's coming out of them. To round off the list, he has 2 5-man units of Reiter with brace pistols. So these guys haven't changed much, although the actual quick-to-fire rules with the pistol have changed slightly, which is worth noting. He has 28 Imperial Guard with full command in the Rending Banner. So they'll be strength 4, 3-up armor, bodyguard guys, and they can also pop that banner. Remember, it's just 1 use now, but still potentially very nasty. For artillery, he's bringing 1 cannon, and then he's got a steam tank. The steam tank's changed a wee bit, but it's still the Goliath of old, very hard to get rid of. And then he has 2 arcane engines, one with the Foresight upgrade and one with arcane shield. So the Foresight upgrade will be giving his nearby units lightning reflexes, and it's also got ice and fire as a nice little bounce spell there. And the arcane shield gives units within 6 distracting, and it gives perception of strength as the bounce spell.
It's quite well rounded. It's quite balanced.
I mean, I look at this list and, obviously Andrew and I are very active on the Empire forum, and to me it's pretty close to the sort of the current Empire net list that all the European tournaments are seeing at the moment. I think I'm not entirely convinced by Imperial Guard at the moment, but I think that this list in general is very solid, very safe, and to be honest, if Stephen played it conservatively all weekend, I can see it getting sort of high 50s, low 60s points wise. It's very hard to break down, and it's very easy to sort of win small or lose small with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I'm not convinced by Imperial Guard. I really don't rate them, although they do seem to just be everywhere just now with the Empire lists. I'm not sure 28 is going to be enough, but like you say, if he plays conservatively, it doesn't matter. Because 28 probably isn't enough for him to really push with that unit. You really need 30 plus bodies with Imperial Guard because they just get eaten by so many other things.
If Ed sits back and does what he should and shoots, then Stephen Dawning has to come at him because Ed's got enough toys that will be able to take off the engines and take off even the steam tank with the skewers if you get a couple of lucky hits. So he's going to have to push, and I'm not sure he's got enough to really push hard.
Yeah, a lot of that comes down to Ed's war machines, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so what do you guys think? Who's got the edge?
It's tough. I think it's a really nice balanced match. I think that, like you said, if Ed's artillery and shooting turns up, it could be really bad for Stephen. And so Stephen has to push at Ed. And if Ed can get his head around how to use the sort of the chaff and the small characters effectively, I think Ed's got the edge on this one.
Okay, so 1 vote for Ed. Paul, what do you think?
I think if Ed can take out the buff wagons, then I think when it comes to combat, I'd go orcs and goblins. And then other than that, I think it just comes down to dice and actually whose war machines can actually do the damage. Because similarly, I mean, if the steam cannon and the regular cannon can do damage on the spider, then, you know, that takes another close combat element out of Ed's list, which will help. But yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think it's kind of difficult to call, but I'd probably just give the nod to Ed.
Yeah, I think I would probably give the nod to Ed as well, just because, I mean, I don't know, I've never met Stephen, and I don't know what armies he's coming up against regularly, but Ed's really not got the excuse of not knowing the Empire book, especially because we just played a couple of weeks ago. So I think Ed will be very much aware of what Stephen's list can do, and how he needs to play against it. So I think if Ed sticks to his game plan, and his artillery shows up, which is an important thing, because if his artillery doesn't show up, that could be really bad, because those strength 3 bows aren't going to cut it. But if his artillery show up, particularly the skewers, and you're taking out that tank, you're taking out the engines, and it could potentially be painful for Stephen. But likewise, if Stephen can get in contact without losing too much to shooting, then it could be a world of pain for Ed as well. But I'll probably give Ed the nod as well.
Cool.
Right.
So second matchup.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
Do you want to run through your list then?
Yeah, so I am playing Barry. I'm bringing, unsurprisingly, Empire Sonstal. So I've got kind of a different emphasis in my list to Stephen. So my general is a prelate. He has the Imperial Seal, Great Weapon, and Locket Sooner. So he is a buffer and an anti-character guy, which is a pretty handy combination to have. My BSB is a Marshal with Great Tactician, Shield, Alchemist Alloy, Willow's Ward, Death Warrant, Push and Swiftness. I took Felix's advice, and that Marshal is still a 1-up, but it means with the Push and Swiftness, when he's in with the Spears, he can activate Death Warrant before them either way, if they're charged or if they charge. So that's all good. For Wizard, I've got Wizard Master with Alchemy, but I've decided to give him the Magic Heirloom, because I just think that the Hereditary for Empire is just so strong, it's so valuable. So he'll have 4 spells plus the Hereditary, which is the number 1, from any lore I want, that I have access to. For Core, I've got 35 Spear, full command with the Household Banner, so again, that 18-inch Inspiring Presence. I've got 2 15-man units of crossbows, like Stephen, they're just awesome. I've got a Scoring Dart of 5 Electoral Cav with Musician, Lance, and Shield. I've got 10 State Militia with Skirmish and Bow. I've got 2 units of Chickens with Lance, Shield, Stan, and Musician. 2 units of 5 Rangers. 2 units of 5 Rider with Repeater Guns. 2 Mortars, 2 Rocket Batteries, and an Arcane Engine with Foresight.
Awesome. So Barry is running Warriors of the Dark Gods. General is a Chosen Lord on a Karkadan with the Favour of Pride. He's got the Great Weapon, Blessed Inscriptions, Death Cheater, and a Lucky Charm, so he's rocking a 1-up, 4-up, Strength 7 General with rerolls to Wound. He's got a Sorcerer with Alchemy, he's a Wizard Master. He also has the Heirloom, Plate Armour. He's got Alchemist Alloy, Paired Weapons, and Lightning Van Braces for the extra bound spell. For Core, he's got 20 Warriors, Full Command, Halberds, and Banner of Speed, and 8 Warhounds, rounding out 900 points quite nicely. Then for Special, just a wall of Chosen Knights. So he's got a 1 big unit of 5 with Musician, Favour of Pride, and then he's got 3 units of 4 Chosen Knights, all with Musicians, Favour of Pride, for 570 points each. And that's the list. So basically just a wall of iron getting rammed down your throat.
This is a fucking travesty.
You know, I need to tell you what I've written in my show notes for this.
Andrew's
fucked. For your list beforehand. So I said, you judge the meta well. There are 8 armies with 2 or more like large infantry blocks for your mortars to do work on. There's like 20 armies that have got multi-wound targets. And then I said, the only problem will be keeping off some of the more aggressive combat armies with high armor, brackets, Warriors of the Dark Gods.
We had a game recently, didn't we, Andrew?
We've had, is it 3 or 4 practice games?
3 and 2.0.
So basically, I thought early on that the meta would be a lot of elves, a lot of ogres, and a lot of beast herds. So I decided really early on that I was going to go quite shooty, and look to have a counter punch. And I thought that the only real thing that I really do not want to play against is high armor, high speed. Unfortunately, both the Warriors lists, both Barry's and Paul's, are both of those things. And we've played 3 times, and Paul has won convincingly twice, and we drew one. But I think we probably only drew that one because we ran out of time. I think Paul would have probably got it, so...
I think the first one, to be fair, you were quite unlucky, because you basically had shot the shit out of my army fairly well, and then there was a couple of unfortunate dice rolls, and then certain things got into combat, and then it kind of went downhill, so...
Yeah, it's just like the worst matchup, really.
If your shooting does well, then you can do serious damage. It's just that he's got so many units, though, and nothing's going to panic, which is a big problem.
Yeah.
So this is one of the things where I look at Empire lists, and everyone except for me seems to be favouring crossbows over handguns, whereas I just love bringing the handguns for extra AP. I guess, like you were saying, you were judging the meta as being elves, ogres, beast herds, where being able to shoot them from further away for longer is better with the crossbows. You don't really need the AP.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when there's warriors pushing up on you, I genuinely think if your list had 2x15 handguns, I think it would be a different story, because you start really taking wounds off those chosen knights with the handguns.
What are you talking about, Felix? My list does have 2x15 handguns.
Oh yeah, sorry, mistype here, right?
And 2 volley guns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the other thing.
You've still got alchemy magic, right? And with the rocket battery, they're AP3. If the rocket batteries have a day and take off some chosen knights, and your alchemy magic does well, as long as you chaff everything up, and those writers are going to have to be sacrificed pretty early.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you can come out of it with a small win.
Yeah, I think a big part of it's just going to be if my dice are hot. I think if my shooting dice in particular turn up, I can really put pressure on. It is literally, I had 3 lists which I really didn't want to play against, both the Warriors list and Kieran's Vermin Swarm list, and this is going to be a tough game.
Paul, what do you think about Barry's list? Like, I personally, I look at it and I think, it's a pretty blunt tool of a list. It's pretty straightforward, just run at the enemy, but it does what it's meant to do pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. This is very kind of systematic of a lot of the lists, a lot of Warriors lists that are getting taken to GTs. Very Chosen Knight heavy, but a good, solid Lord that can perform very well in combat, and magic. I think just about every list I've seen with Warriors has a magical component in it now, and I think it's just the magic phase is just too big not to compete in. I really like Alchemy because it gives the Warriors lists a more offensive phase to actually do some damage from range. Being able to get, I don't know, I mean, his Sorcerer is on foot, right? So he'll be in the Warriors unit.
Yeah.
The Warriors unit is going to be movement 5 with the banner. So they are going to be the slowest component in the list. So it might be something that he'll need to bear in mind, that unit doesn't get too isolated, because it's going to take it longer to get to the other side of the table. So you're probably going to be having to target out the Chosen Knights, because they're obviously going to be
yeah, you think?
pushed in your face. So it's going to be difficult, but I don't know, like, it's interesting. You've obviously changed the lore on your Sorcerer, because you'd been running Pyromancy for a long time. So it's probably a good thing that you have changed.
Yeah,
because that's going to be invaluable. But I think if you concentrate fire on a single unit, because you've got to kill the unit. There's no point in leaving one guy alive, because he's potentially just as dangerous, one Chosen Knight getting into certain things.
Yeah, to give you an example of that, in our first game, I charged 3 chickens full health into 1 Chosen Knight. And it lasted 3 rounds of combat, and the Chosen Knight won. Like,
part of that was shit dice, though.
But even still, like, fucking hell, they're just so hard to shift. And like, he was tested on Leadership 6 a couple times where I got the edge, and it's just that cold-blooded. It's just so good.
Yeah, reroll and break tests.
Yeah,
redice. It's huge. So yeah, it's difficult, because with a lot of other armies, I mean, if you're dealing a lot of damage from range, I mean, you can almost rely on certain things panicking. Whereas with this army, I mean, the only thing that's going to panic are the dogs, and nothing's going to give a shit about the dogs. So
yeah, I will at least get 130 points. That's what. Okay, lads, what do you think?
I think, based on our experience, I think this is really going to come down to dice. This list, I would say, is harder for you than my list, just because there's more of the kind of scary stuff to deal with. If your artillery doesn't turn up, then I think it's game over.
Yeah. Felix?
I think there is a fair chance that you may get pumped.
Thanks, Cap. That's the kind of pep talk I really needed.
To give you the confidence you need. No,
I thought you were about to sound off on some really optimistic kind of point there.
No, Felix ain't like that.
No, at all. But basically, I think it will be a big win either way. Either your magic and your artillery turn up, and you just evaporate his army in sort of 2 turns, and then mop everything up with the chickens, and you can push out and be aggressive with your spears, or he will weather the storm and then he'll take you off. It will literally be that one way or the other. It was very similar to I took a similar sort of list to yours to Masters, and I played the Vampire Covenant Blood Dragon Fun Bus list. I played that twice. I got 19 once or 18 once, and then I won 20 the other game, and it was almost identical list. It will be the same as that. It will just be whoever's dice is a little bit hotter will take a big win.
Yeah, totally agree. I think Barry's definitely going into that favourite. I'll just need to try and pull some shenanigans, I think. It'll be a good game. It'll be a tough game, but it's alright. My plan is to submarine anyway. It's fine. This is all part of the grand strategy. Right, okay, so we're giving Barry the nod there. So, the third matchup is Gary Quirk with Infernal Dwarves versus Chris Legg with VC.
So, this is the Infernal Dwarves list. So, Gary took about 3 or 4 goes to get me a correct list for this. So, he's already starting with a list penalty. But it's quite a cool list. It's a bit of a weird one. It's like a MMU Infernal Dwarves. It's got, obviously, that scary character. And it's the kind of list where it's got quite good target saturation. So, if you haven't faced too many war machines, I think there's just too much stuff for most sort of shooting and combined armies to handle. But if he goes sort of toe-to-toe with a hard-hitting combat army like Chris's, it's going to be a lot more difficult, because I'm not sure if there's anything in his list that can deal with like a fully tooled-up combat army.
Yeah, just running through it. I think that, I totally agree. He's got a bit of everything.
So he's got the Overlord on the Great Bull, the Vizier BSB with the Icon of the Inferno, the banner where you cast a spell and it gives you the sort of mini fireball every time you cast a spell. Prophet on Alchemy, a little Hobgoblin Chieftain Backstabber boss in a unit of 25 Backstabber Hobgoblins. A big slab of 35 Infernal Warriors with Blunderbuss, which I thought was interesting. 20 Hobgoblins, 20 Orc Slaves with paired weapons, who I think are just a great cheap unit. 23 Immortals with Banner Shemut, a Volcano Cannon, a Flamethrower, a Bolt Thrower, and then the Infernal Engine with the shrapnel guns. So it really is like a bit of everything. And so he's gone through the book and sort of picked every second unit and then smashed it all together.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do Chris's list and then we'll talk about the matchup. Paul, do you want to run through that one?
Yep. So, Chris has VC. He's got a vampire account, which is his general, with Von Karstein, The Dead Arise, Wizard of Depths, Shields, Heavy Armour, Paired Weapons, Court of the Damned, Legend of the Black King, and Touch of Greatness. He's got a Barrow King with Paired Weapons. He's the BSB with Hero's Heart, Destiny's Call, and the Legion Standard. He has a Necromancer, who is a Wizard Master, Talisman of the Void, and Magical Heirloom. He doesn't have the Path on the list. What's he bringing?
The Necromancer.
Yeah.
That was my fault. He did actually tell me it's on Evocation.
All right, cool.
Yeah, he did message me that and say, hey, it's Evocation.
Cool. Okay. So, Necromancer, who's Wizard Master, Talisman of the Void, Magical Heirloom, and Evocation. 42 Skeletons, Champion Musician, Standard Bearer with Legion Standard. 21 Zombies with Musician. He's got 3 units of 2 Bat Swarms, 2 Altars of Undeath. He's got 2 units of 10 Wraiths and 1 unit of 5 Vampire Spawn with the Champion for 4,500 points on the nose. What do you think of this, Andrew? You're about to embark on a journey of VC playing.
I don't think... I'm really cautious because Chris is a fantastic player. So I don't want to say anything negative about the list because I'm probably totally
Go on. Just say it's shit if you think it's shit.
I don't think it's shit. I just think that I think he needs a lot of things to go right, and he needs right matchups to get lots of points out of matches. Because, like, that vampire needs to be killing shit. It needs to be getting into juicy targets, and it needs to be getting into characters and just munching on stuff. So he's going to be in with the Skellies. Wraiths are good. Like, Wraiths are really good, but they're quite matchup dependent. Because if you go up against something that's got a lot of magic missiles or has access to spells that can give shooting magical attacks, then they will just fall apart. Or if you've got really killer units that can get in there and just mince them before they get to strike. But, I mean, there's a lot of things that just won't be able to handle them as well. The altars are still really good. And then he's got 5 vampire spawn for just, like, mobile hunters. So, I'm wary to say that I don't know how he's going to be really pushing the board, but I think he took a very similar list to Bristol a couple of weeks ago. I think he had direwolves in there, which he's dropped for, I think, bat swarms. So I am probably missing it because Chris is a fantastic player, so I think it's a good list, but I think it probably needs someone like Chris to steer it rather than someone like me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I chatted to him when he submitted the list today, and I said, I think it's a really strong list. And his reply was that he thought he doubted it was a strong list. He thought it was a fun one, and that he thought the vampire was very risky. I think when you look around, not necessarily just Gary's list, but other lists as well, there are a lot of things that can kill that 990 points of general out of that unit.
Yep.
And then the army's going to have a pretty bad day. What I would say, though, is that, the double altar of undeath is just mad for VC at the moment, because it gives them sort of the hard counter to what's meant to be their weakness, which is no ranged shooting. So those altars can clear everyone's chaff out of the way pretty easily. And then that means that the big block of skeletons with, double 2 Legion standards in there can potentially just, run into whatever they want. But I like to say, it's going to be an interesting one. He's a fantastic player, and, there are definitely the tools there to do well.
Yeah. Yep, I think that's fair. So, who gets the nod? Felix, you can start off.
I think that on strength of lists, I think it's pretty equal. I don't think either list is that fantastic, to be honest. But, like you said, Leggy's a damn good player. And not that Gary isn't, but, Chris has got that experience. I think that Gary's list hasn't got anything scary enough to deal with that big block. If he throws his Bull of Shamrock Lord in there, the vampire's going to take him off in a turn. And if he throws any of his sort of MMU units into the big skeleton block, they're just going to hang around for forever and grind them out. So I think I'd probably give the edge to Chris for this one.
Paul, what do you think?
As someone that has never played Infernal Dwarves or VC, so obviously I'm going to be quite an expert here. Yep. I think I would give it to Gary, just because I'm looking at his list and he's got a lot of shooting. So if he can target out certain aspects of Chris's list, then that might be able to help him out. But I don't know, it's difficult to say without actually playing them, so I don't actually know how effective either of these lists actually are. I don't even actually know what certain units do. So, it's hard to say.
I think Gary needs to be super disciplined if he's wanting to win this. He's got the tools to do pretty well. I think, like the flamethrower, the volcano cannon, but he really needs to just concentrate on a unit at a time. The issue is that stuff like the blunderbusses, they're too short range. If Chris gets to within 18 or 12 of him, it's not going to be great. But I think if his shooting dice are hot and he just really targets one unit, then it could potentially be problematic. But I think Leggy's probably got the nudge, because you've got to make sure against VC that if you're shooting at a unit, you've got to kill that unit in one turn, because all that's going to happen is they're just going to get back up. Especially like something like Skellies, where they're just getting, shed loads of them back every single turn. And if you don't let the evocation through, then he's getting other nasty stuff through. So, yeah, I think Leggy's got the nudge. But if Chris plays a really smart game, then it could make life really difficult for him.
What are the stats on the altars?
They're chariots that have got a 4-up regen, and then they've got a shooting attack that can either bubble 12 inches or select a single target within 18, and it does D6 on the bubble and D6 plus 1 or 2 on the single target strength hits, which are equal to the turn number it is. So like turn 1, it's 1, strength 1, and then by turn 5, 6, it's strength 5 or 6. So if those things are alive come turn 5 or 6, and he's pushed them into the middle of the army, especially with evocation, where you can magic move them, that starts causing a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many wounds do they have?
5.
So 5 HP with a 4-up regen.
Yeah, and
then resistance 5 as well. And I think they got an armor save as well. I think they got a
5 up. I think.
Save.
Yeah. I mean, they're no joke. They are nasty. See, this is another thing, because you really want to be taking out the unit, like the combat units. You want to be trying to wipe out that skelly unit, but you can't afford to let the alters get that close either. So, and I don't think Gary's got enough shooting there to really do both. So I think it's going to be really tough for Gary.
Okay, so we're saying Chris for that one?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Right.
So next matchup?
So that would be Felix, who's using Ed's Kingdom of Ectane, against Monroe.
Take us through your list, Felix.
Yeah, to the best that I can. I've never played KOE before, and I'm obviously hoping that we can find someone else to step into the breach and take my spot, so I can just focus on running the event. But I basically wrote this list in case I did have to play, and it is pretty brainless, and you can just sort of push it forward and then either take someone off or realistically just be taken off and give someone a nice free 20. So it's got a damsel who's the general, a master on either shamanism or divination, crown of autocracy, which brings her up to a huge leadership 8 on a warhorse. She sits in a unit of 9 Knights of the Grail with full command group and the Oriflame, and with her is her trusty paladin BSB on a budded warhorse. He's got the Grail Oath, a shield, and the Fortress of Faith item, which gives him, God, I can't remember now, a set defensive skill quite high, or parry, and always anyone that can allocate attacks against him has to allocate attacks against him. So he's still toughness 4, 1 up, 5 up. The idea is the Grail Knights just go into something, mince a unit on combat res, and everything has to hit the BSB, who hopefully doesn't die. So that's, always fun.
Yep.
They've got, then there's a Duke on a Hippogriff. He's not the general. He's got the Questing Oath, Bastard Sword, the Virtue of Renown, which is every 6 to wound is D3 wounds, and I think it's no special saves allowed against it. A Shield, Ghostly Guard, Pattern of Shielding, and Blessed Inscriptions. So he's re-rolling his to wounds to try and maximize that renown, and I think he's got a 2 up, 5 up, or a 3 up, 5 up. I'd have to check what it is. Then the list is rounded out with 15 Knights of the Realm, Musician, Standard Bearer, Banner of the Last Charge. Banner of the Last Charge is the one which is impact hits for the 3 guys in the front, and they get a number of impact hits equal to the full ranks in the unit. So that full 15 of knights going into something at full strength is 12 strength 4 impact hits, which is quite nice. 18 peasant bowmen with crossbows and the musician, just to round out core and also to help clear chaff. The Green Knight, and 5 peg knights with musician and vanguard, who I think are going to be a quite fun thing to play. You just push them forward 12 inches and then you can move them 16, so they got like a 28 or 30 inch threat range from turn 1, which will scare a lot of people.
Yeah, it's cool.
Cool. And then Monroe's list. Will I run through this?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So he's got an Oracle for the general. She's Wizard Master with Cosmology. Destiny's Call, Magical Heirloom, Morax Reaping, and Light Armor. So the Morax Reaping item, that'll give 4 attacks at Strength 4 AP 3 with Death Trance, which is +1 to wound in the first round of combat. He's got a Captain for the BSB with Fleet Commander, Heavy Armor, Ghostly Guard, and Hero's Heart. An Assassin with paired weapons, Path of Bloody Murder and Bloodroot. So Path of Bloody Murder, which gives Hatred and Distracting, and a 4-up Aegis save in close combat. Bloodroot, that's +1 strength, +1 AP, multiple wounds 2 against characters. So this guy's pumping out 4 attacks, offensive skill 8, strength 5, AP 3, agility 9 with lightning reflexes and poison attacks. So pretty scary.
Yep.
25 Dread Legionaries with spears full command. 2 units of 5 Dark Raiders with repeater crossbows. 2 units of 10 repeater auxiliaries with musicians. 2 units of 7 Ravencloaks with great weapons. 30 Tower Guard full command with the banner of Gar Dakos, I'm going to say. That'll do. That gives death trance to the unit. So again, that's +1 to wound in the first round of combat. 12 Dancers of Yamas with skirmish and a musician, and the Divine Altar with paired weapons. So I played against Monroe on the weekend, and I think this is pretty much the list that he ran. And I made the mistake of getting into combat with the Tower Guard unit, and it went really bad. And he basically, well, I didn't table me. I think I called it bottom of turn 5 because it was just game over at that point. So, yeah, stay the fuck away from that 30-man Tower Guard unit.
Yeah, Felix, you don't have any shooting. That could be problematic.
How dare you? I've got 18 of the finest.
Oh, shit, sorry, yeah. That's
back in your box. Those guys are accurate and fantastic.
That is a game changer.
It's a game changer.
Fuck the Tower Guard, they're going off.
Yeah, I'm going to take them off. It's going to be easy.
Yeah, it's nasty. That Tower Guard unit is really the list, really, because that will probably mince just about anything it gets in combat with. The only thing I maybe wouldn't back it against is something like Jack's Barrow Guard, which we'll come to, but it's just a really fucking nasty unit that is going to take a lot of beating to get rid of. The Dancers of Yema, I played Monroe as well at the weekend, and he's not convinced about the Dancers. He just kind of included them to try them out. I don't know what they did in your game, Paul, but they did hee-haw in ours.
Basically, when I played them, I combo charged that unit with my Knights and a Chosen Knight unit. So they did very little.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah, but I mean, they're a cool unit. I mean, the Gladiator weapons, pretty versatile. They've got a 4 up Aegis in close combat, skirmish, they've got Strider. Against the right thing, they've got their uses. They're only 276 points. So, useful unit he can even use to chaff stuff up if he needs to. So it's not that many points to sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean, 276 is pretty reasonable. Skirmish as well is good. The Divine Altar is just fucking insane. Especially that adding the dice. So basically he has like a Swift Stride bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, that is just a nightmare.
There's a lot of rerolls in the list.
Yeah, there's a lot of certainty, yeah. Having said all that, I think, Felix, there's points there that you can take, especially with something like your list where it's so fast. So I think if maybe just avoid the Tower Guard and take everything else, which is doable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing with the Tower Guard as well, so they're halberds, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then the Banner of God Dakos and the Divine Altar together can give them +1 to wound at all times, can't it?
Yeah.
But they still don't do that well against armor. Like, they're going to have a lot of attacks, and they're going to hit with a lot of them, and then with the +1 to wound, they should wound with a lot of them as well. So at that point, it's kind of just down to dice and how many sort of 1s and 2s I managed to roll. Obviously, if you get off the great hereditary spell for KOE that allowed you to re-roll all the 1s you've got in the world, that's always handy. It's the sort of thing where you can either play smart. If I was trying to play properly and trying to do really well and not just play the spare player, I think you're right. I think you've got everything so fast in the KOE list. You can kind of zone everything with the 2 big units and send the Green Knight and the Peg Knights to go and mop up a few tasty little points here and there and go for the small win. But that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to push everything as hard as I can at that Tower Guard unit.
Yeah.
Because I got loads of other stuff to do, like around actually running the tournament. So it'll be good fun. I think we'll have a good game, and I think that we'll be looking to be in combat from the start of turn 2 or turn 1 if we can, and we'll throw a lot of dice and have a fun game.
Good. Okay, so having Felix just told me that, I'm going to give the nod to Monroe. I don't know about you, Paul.
How good's KOE armor? Is it 2-ups pretty much all across the board?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're really, I mean, against Monroe's list, because there's that much AP, you're talking 4-ups.
Yeah, so you're talking what's the Tower Guard? They're
AP2?
Are they AP2?
Yeah. 2 attacks each.
Yeah, that's nice. They'll be 4-ups then in that case.
I don't know. I think I'll give Monroe the nod just because I've seen what it can do against my list, and my list is very heavy armor. And to be fair, he did roll quite well for a lot of his shooting phases, but that's all it takes to make the difference. So, yeah, I'll just give it to Monroe.
I think this depends on how Felix plays. If Felix just goes for him, then I think, that just comes down to do Monroe's dice turn up, because if they do, he can take off blocks at a time. But if Felix plays sensibly, which it doesn't sound like he's going to do.
What's this Monroe guy like? Is he a nice fella?
He's a nice guy, yeah.
Oh, then fine, I'll push at him. If he was a horrible bastard, be like, I'd put my game face on and be like, mate, I'm coming for you. But if he's a nice fella, I'll push at him. It'll be good fun.
Yeah, I think if you do what Andrew's saying with regards to staying away from the Tower Guard, like depending on deployment and how movement phases go, if you can stay away from it, then your stuff on the charge will basically go through everything else. So
yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's the kind of thing where if you're playing serious, you sweep up as much as you can, and if you can get a double charge on that Tower Guard unit, all of the impact hits plus the Grails. I think the Grails swing at the same time, or even before the Tower Guard.
They'll go before, because they'll be agility 6,
aren't they?
Yeah.
I think with that and the impact hits, I think you blow that unit up. But you would need both of them in there, and wherever the assassin is, the hippogriff guy can't go anywhere near him because the assassin will just punk him in one round. But yeah, I give it to Monroe as well.
What agility are Grail Knights? Are they 6 base?
5.
5 base, I think.
Right. Okay.
So 6 on the charge.
Okay.
I don't know what Tower Guard are. I'd assume they would be.
They're 5.
They're 6.
5 or 6.
Oh shit! Sorry, they are. It's Dread Judges at 5, right?
Yeah. They're 6 base.
Yeah, so it'd be same time.
Okay, cool. Okay. Right. So the next matchup allows us to play our fun side game at the list review. Welcome to the Dwarven Rune drinking game. So this matchup is Tim against Paul. So Paul can take us through his list, but before, what we'll do is we'll go through Tim's list and we will try and guess what all this dwarven shit does.
Awesome.
So, beer at the ready, gentlemen. Okay, here's Tim's list. Okay, so, his general is, unsurprisingly, a king. However, surprisingly, he has a handgun. He has a shield, and the first one goes to Felix. What is the Rune of Destruction?
It's not very fair because I wrote this list. Rune of Destruction is D3 wound.
Correct. Okay, Paul, Rune of Fury.
+1 attack?
Yes.
Congratulations. Felix, Rune of Smashing.
Rune of Smashing is Strength 10 against anything Toughness 5 or greater.
Well done. Paul, Rune of Iron.
That is +1 armor.
Well done. Felix, Rune of Shielding.
+1 wood save.
Oh, this is a bit shit. I mean, no one had to drink there. So, Tim's King in total has, like we said, multiple wounds D3, strength 10 against resistance 5 or higher, 5 attacks, offensive and defensive 7, resilience 5, strength 4, but 3 health points, a 1-up, 6-up, but of course that 6-up will stack with shield wall, and he's got a handgun. For his BSB, is a Thane, also has a handgun, a shield, the Rune of Iron, which is the +1 armor, Felix, Rune of Lightning.
Ooh, this one is hard. I think it's every hit. If you do one hit, then it will trigger the Rune of Lightning either at the same initiative step or at the end. And for every Rune of Lightning, it's D3 Strength 4 hits.
Oh, Strength 3, but that's pretty good.
Oh, Strength 3. I'm gonna drink. That was bad.
Yeah, but that's only in combat. But yeah, absolutely. And he's also got the Rune of Steadiness, Paul. That's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. I don't think I've ever seen this one on any list before.
Pass.
Drink. So the Rune of Steadiness gives the Bearer's unit quick to fire, which is
one use only though.
One use only, but pretty tasty.
Yeah, so the idea is you chuck them into the marksman that will come onto, and it gives them, at least if they want to move, you can only take a -1 penalty, not a -2 for one round.
Absolutely. He's got 3 of those runes of lightning, so if it does get in combat, potentially painful. He's got 2 engineers, both with Wormslayer rockets. So the Wormslayers are 24 inches, strength 6, AP3, multiple wounds D3, flaming, and they have reload. And of course, as a dwarf engineer, he can entrench a war machine. And I think he's got 2 war machines in mind, which we'll get to in a wee second. For core, he has 23 clan marksmen with champion, standard musician, crossbows, great weapons, and the Felix Runic Standard of the Hold.
Oh, that's the better version of the Legion from the main book. It's you count as having +1 extra rank for steadfast and disruption.
Yeah, absolutely. So those crossbows will be giving him a 30-inch bubble of pain, but he's also got the great weapons if it comes to that. He's also got 2 smaller units, the clan marksmen, but they've just got shields and crossbows. He's got 2 units of 6 Hold Guardians, with musician standard. So the Hold Guardians got a bit of a revamp, and they're quite popular just now. So as standard, they have 3 health points, offensive and defensive 4, strength 5, resilience 5, 3 up armor, AP 2, agility 2. But at the start of the game, which is important, so at the start of the game, depending on what you're playing against, you can choose to have +1 strength, +1 AP, Vanguard, or +2 agility. So they're very flexible, and in some matchups in particular, they're very nasty. They're pretty good at going after other monstrous infantry. So he's got 2 of them. One of them has the Flaming Standard, always useful to have. He's got a unit of 16 Rangers with musician, crossbows, and shields. So they're Scout, Strider, Forest. That's a big chunky unit of them as well. And then to round things off, he's got 2 organ guns, which I've got no doubt will each have engineer shepherd in them. So, a really nasty list.
Can't say I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, Paul, what have you got in yours to counter that?
So, what have I brought? I've got a Sorcerer as my general, Wizard Master with Evocation, Destiny's Call, and the Magical Heirloom. For core, 19 Warriors, full command, paired weapons, Banner of the Relentless Company, and 2 units of 5 Fallen. For special, 3 Feldraks, Musicians, paired weapons, a couple of units of Warhounds, a couple of units of 3-man Forsworn units with shields and musician, 2 units of Chosen Knights with the Musician, Standard Bearer, and Stalker standards on both units, Favour of Pride, a regular Warrior Chariot, and then 1 unit of 10 Knights with Musician, Standard Bearer, Lances, and Stalker standard.
So, I would say, I like your list. It's super fast, super punchy. It's got all the things that are working really well with Warriors just now. And I actually think it's more flexible than Barry's list. Particularly with that big unit of Knights, which should, if they get in without being too molested, they should vaporize a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they normally perform well on the charge, but that's it. It's maintaining the second rank, so that you're getting those extra 10 support and attacks. They make a big difference. Yeah,
absolutely. Felix, what way do you see this going?
I think it's quite similar to your game in reverse. You know, it's the kind of thing where dice is going to play a really big part of it all. You know, Tim is an experienced Dwarves player. He's obviously the coach for Scotland, and he's sort of selflessly testing out a few things for us. No magic, organ guns, full core full of marksmen. It's a nice list, but I think one of the things I said to him when he said he would take it is it's going to get pretty interesting to see how it handles a combat army pushing at it at full speed. Obviously, Paul has got a little bit less speed than Barry's Warriors list, and he doesn't like the organ guns. But it's the kind of thing where you can push at it, and if he rolls badly, then you're into him, and it's game over.
Yeah,
I think that Paul, obviously, you've taken the units of the 3 monstrous cavalry. And it's one of those things where, especially against dwarves, if you take 3 instead of 4, if you lose one of those and they go down to 2 models instead of if you lose 1, it goes down to 3 models. It becomes a lot harder for them to go into, a unit with a king in, or the unit with great weapons or hold guardians and stuff like that. So it's it's going to be a really dicey game.
Yeah, and fuck that guy. I ain't going anywhere near that fucking king. I'm going to evocate the shit out of that guy.
Hide in the corner like a true warrior.
Yeah, just snipe the fuck out of him. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, even like the Worm Slayer rockets, pretty good against monstrous stuff.
Yeah, it's something that no one's really been taking. So I think both Deej and Tim are testing those out because they're nice. They're still scary. They're strength 5 or 6 and D3 wounds. They're gonna do some damage.
Yeah. I think it just depends on how I want to play this. Do I want to hang back, try and conserve points, and try and lose little, or maybe sneak a win if I can, or do I push and go for him and hope he rolls like shit, and then multi-charge certain units and try and pick up points that way? I don't know. I've not really studied his list yet. I don't have a great track record against dwarves because dwarves are bullshit. Yeah, but I know he's a very good player, so it's going to be tough. But I'm looking forward to it. Like Tim was obviously up for our tournament last year, and I didn't get a lot of time to actually speak to him, so I'm actually quite looking forward to it from that perspective.
I think you have to go for his ballsack. I think there's no point. If you sit off, he's just going to take points from you, and I think if you sit off and he doesn't roll well, he wins small. If you sit off and he rolls well, he's taking units off because you're not posing a threat to him. So I think you do exactly what you've been doing and go for the guts. If you get in and he hasn't done enough damage, then even stuff like the Hold Guardians, they won't stand up. The units is 6, but
yeah, I need to look at the units. I need to try and look at their stats and see how they match up.
Those Hold Guardians are nasty. So I played against Deej with them twice, and both times first time I put in 6 Minotaurs into the front of them, and then the second time I think eventually after shooting there were 4 or 5 Minotaurs with like a 900 point Minotaur Lord, and both times the Minotaur unit itself just disappeared, and in the second one the Minotaur Lord sort of saved the day and helped himself out. But they're nasty, they're tough, they're hard to break, and they put out some hurt as well.
I think the one thing going for warriors in 2.0 when they come up against dwarves, I think evocation is a great asset to have, simply because you get access to these rerolls. And with some of the dwarf and special rules in the past, that's made the difference. It's just if you have a bad roll and you just flub in close combat, then you're screwed. But now I think having that in your arsenal, I think that can help get around those kind of problems. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I guess it's kind of similar to when I've played against your EOS, Andrew, when you brought organ guns. I never or volley guns rather. Never really liked facing up against those. So this is approached the same way.
Yeah, I said to you this morning, I really like Tim's list because I think it does my idea a bit better, because I think the dwarves have just got, it's shed loads of shooting, but those Hold Guardians are really good counter punch, and he's also got like the great weapons and the marksmen so they can hold their own. I think that organ guns look amazing on paper, like all volley guns look amazing on paper, but if you don't roll well or you roll 6s, then their actual average damage goes down substantially. That's a huge issue with the Empire volley gun, because you're throwing those 3 dice, so that chance of getting the 6 is so much more than the dwarf one. But if he doesn't roll well and you get in his guts, I think it's going to go pretty well. But Tim's a good player and it's a nasty list, so if it turns up, I think it could be potentially very sore. Yeah,
I'm giving Tim the nod. I think he's got a lot more experience than I do, so I think that's going to probably tip it towards him if nothing else. So I'm going to say Tim for that one.
So I think probably it's the same with Paul and Tim as it is for you, Andrew, and for Barry's game. It's going to be a case of if Paul decides to push and he decides to push hard, it will be down to dice and it will just go massive one way or the other. And if he decides not to, he can sort of stand off and try and chip a few points off with magic maybe, and it will be a pretty dull draw. So it depends how Paul wants to play. But I would say that I'd probably just give it to Tim, because he's either going to win very small if Paul stands off, or he's either going to have a 50-50 chance of winning big if Paul pushes.
Yeah, I would agree.
On the upside, if it does go tits up and it's over by turn 3, then I'll have time to check out some other games.
Yeah,
so that's always good.
And you'll get to play me or Andrew game 2. 20.
Woohoo!
That would be perfect.
Okie dokie. Right. So the next one is John Turner against Alex Thomas. So, Felix, do you want to run through John's list?
Yeah, sure. So, John has got a Khan Battle Standard Bearer with the Cult Leader Big Name, which will extend the BSB range to 18 inches. He's got heavy armor and a brace of Ogre pistols with Viper's Curse, which is 3 or maybe 4 shots that are poisoned using the pistol's normal profile, and they always hit on a 4+. So it's nice, again, skirmishes or things behind cover, stuff like that. There is a Shaman who is the General. He's a Wizard Master on Pyromancy with the Lightning Van Braces. He's also got Gut Roar, a Big Name, which is a +1 channel and Fear, so he channels 2. There's a big, nice slab of 8 Bruisers with Full Command Group and Banner of Discipline. There are 2x3 Bruisers with Champion Musician to run around scoring or chapping things up. 3x1 Kin Eaters, who are the sort of ambushing, nasty, unbreakable hatred guys. 3 Tusker Cav with great weapons, heavy armor, and musician for some heavy hitting scoring. And then the main sort of crux of the list is 3 units of 6 Bombardiers with musician. So this list is nice. You know, it's a fun list for everyone to run into and hopefully get shot off at.
Yeah, it's really, really nasty. So Alex's list, he's bringing Dread Elves. His general's an Oracle with Wizard Master, Cosmology. She will be on a Raptor. She's got Alchemist's Alloy and the Wandering Familiar. So the Wandering Familiar is really good because it basically allows them to redeploy their line of sight. For BSB, he's got a Captain with Fleet Commander upgrade, which gives him the innate defense. He's got Heavy Armor, Shield, Basalt Infusion, and Dust Forge, so that's a 1-up rerollable. For Core, he's got 3 units of 12 Repeater Auxiliaries with Musicians, 2 units of 10 Repeater Auxiliaries with Musicians, and then he's got 3 Dread Reapers, 2 Medusas with Halberds, and then the big bad boys of the list are 2 big fuck-off units of 30 Dread Judges, full command, and one of them's even got the Banner of Blood. I think in the right matchups, that is a terrible, terrible list to deal with, because that list is, those Dread Judges will munch through so much. Unfortunately for Alex, going up against John, I think John is going to shoot the shit out of him.
Yeah, I mean, this list is probably the list that John's going to take to ETC. It was one that one of the New Zealand guys took to ETC last year, and we've tweaked it a little bit, but it's essentially built for one purpose, and that's, for people that don't know who listen to the podcast, at the ETC, you get to do pairings, so you can have sort of some choice about what matchups various lists have, and this list for John is just built to wreck elves. So he's pretty lucky he's been matched into like 60 nice infantry, toughness 3 elves against all his pyromancy, lightning van braces, and strength 4 shooting.
I think, I mean, Alex can get some points with his shooting, but John's just got so much, and then those, whatchamacallit, the Kin Eaters, are just going to pop up, and even going into the little auxiliary units, they'll munch through them. So I think, unfortunately for Alex, I think that list has the potential to do well over the course of the tournament, but that round 1 is going to be an uphill struggle for him.
What's the range on the Bombardiers?
24.
24, yeah.
So same as crossbows.
But they can move and shoot, I think, without penalties. Yeah. I think they have the 30-inch threat range.
But they have the D6 shots, so John's running them in 6-man units, so that's like 27 shots on average, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's so nasty.
So, it's just... So, yeah, I think that's going to be a really tough match for Alex. However, on the positive side, if it does go really badly for him, then he can submarine with me. So, so what do you think, Paul? Who has the nudge?
I guess it depends. I mean, if Alex goes into this matchup and he's thinking to himself, fuck that, and he's just going to hang back, then, I don't know. The only thing long-range threat he's got are the Dread Reapers, right?
I mean,
48.
Yeah.
They're 48 range. I mean, if John just decides, right, I'm just going to march up and I'm going to shoot shit out of them, and I'm just going to hide the Tusker so he can't pick on them, and then the Dread Reapers are kind of wasted.
I mean, the Dread Reapers could potentially do a lot of damage to the Bombardiers. I think the issue is that John's just got too many of them.
Yeah, that's it. So, and then in combat, what's he got? He's got the big Bruiser Brick.
That's not going to be fighting this game. And if it is, it's not going to be fighting those Dread Judges.
No, definitely not.
Are Ogres standard size?
No, they're large.
Right, okay. So the Dread Judges aren't getting their multi-wound bonus against them?
I know, because it's standard, standard.
Yeah, I think on paper then just the ogres, but I guess it just depends. I mean, in shooting heavy lists, when we played games, you've not been too happy when you get to the table and you think, shit, there's just way too much terrain on the table.
Yeah, that's true.
That might fuck with you shooting a little bit.
I think particularly the Bombardiers, they're just so mobile as well, though.
Yeah.
That John's list can redeploy at a level which mine can't. So, and Pyro as well. Like something like the Enveloping Embers. If that goes off once on one of those Dread Judge units, then that's going to take, at least 10 guys off.
Yeah, I mean, they're big point sinks. They're roughly 800 points each.
Yeah, I just think that's going to be a really tough game for Alex. But it depends how he goes for it. If he goes for the guts and John's dice don't turn up, then potentially he could get some points. But I just think John's got too much shooting, too much magic, that I think it's going to be a sore first round for poor Alex.
Okay, cool. So we're going with John for that one?
Yeah, Felix, you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I think that Alex has got a lot of drops, so he can out-deploy John. And if he out-deploys him and puts both units of the Dread Judges maybe on one flank and tries to sweep them round, then, he might have a chance. But John's got those 3 ambushing Kin Eaters who are going to come on and eat the Dread Reapers and harass the Repeater Auxiliaries. And the list is built to destroy elves. It's a horrible matchup for Alex. I think it probably has to be given to John.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, cool. So that's us halfway. So the next game was Deej against Henrik, which has the potential to be pretty spicy, actually.
Yeah, I think it'd be a very cool game.
Right, Felix, you want to take this one and we can play another game of Dwarven Rune Drinking Game?
Absolutely, right. So Deej has got 2 engineers, both with shields and Wormslayer rockets. One of the engineers is General. He's got the Anvil of Power, and he has got a Dragon Seeker with Monster Seeker. Which, do you want me to say what it is, or do you want to try and guess what it is?
Monster Seeker is multiple wounds against large and gigantic?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think it's multiple wounds too.
Okay.
Rune of Fury, which we've already had as a +1 attack. And Paul, what is Rune of Might?
Rune of Might is Strength and AP +1.
Strength and AP. Perfect. So he's also got a Thane. So that Dragon Seeker is he's got, those are enchanting the paired weapons, which it should say on here. So he's got something ridiculous like 8 strength, 5 attack with a lethal strike, multiple wounds 2 against large and gigantic, and he also can't wound on less than a 4+. So he takes monsters and even most characters apart pretty nicely. Then he's got pretty much the exact same thing that Tim does, the same with the BSB shield, 2 runes of iron, 3 runes of lightning, 2 units of 10 marksmen, shields and musicians, 28 greybeards with full command, great weapons and shields, 6 Hull Guardians, full command, standard behold, which I think we've already done, 10 miners, throwing weapons, shield and musician, 10 seekers, champ, musician, skirmish and vanguard, a cannon, 2 vengeance seekers, and 2 rune crafted ballistas.
It's a very cool list.
It's a very cool list. This is a list that we've been thrown around for a while, and it's the first time we're trying the sort of artillery setup for this. So the whole point is that you've got the 2 engineers who have got a strength 6 D3 wounds shot, and then they can give +1 to hit to the rune crafted ballistas that have accurate. So from the start of the game, they should be hitting on a 3+, which is pretty frightening, for lists like Paul's or even lists with arcane engine stuff like that. And then you've also got the cannon. So as long as you keep that close to one or both of the engineers, there is the potential that you get that cannon hitting on a 2+ when something big comes into range, because you get the 3 from the engineer and then the +1 for towering presence or gigantic or whatever it is now. So it's kind of taken a bit of the randomness out of the war machine, or trying to at least.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so Henrik.
I'll do this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So General's the Shaman with Gut Roarer. He's got the Iron Fist, light armor. He's rocking Shamanism. He's a Wizard Master with the Rod of Battle and Talisman of the Void. His BSB is a Khan with Brace of Ogre Pistols. He's got heavy armor and paired weapons. He's got the Troll Eater Big Name with Banner of Speed, Lucky Charm, and Supernatural Dexterity. There's a Mammoth Hunter with +1 armor, a Hunting Spear, Iron Fist. He's got the Vanguard upgrade, Dragonfire Gem, and the Wrestler's Belt. He's got 2 3-man units of bruisers, a big unit of 11 tribesmen with iron fists. They've got champ, musician, and standard with the pennant of the Great Grass Sky, which gives swift stride. Kin Eater, 3 Tusker Cav, heavy armor, champ, standard bearer with the banner of speed. 1 thunder cannon, slave giant with the great weapon, 2 units of 2 yetis, and 3 saber-tooth tigers. What do you think?
Spicy. I think DG's list is quite good for multi-wound stuff, so if his dice are hot and his shooting phase, he could cause Henrik a lot of pain. But Henrik's list is really designed just to charge up, with just the cannon firing off. I really like Yetis, I really rate them. I think they're really good. The Slave Giant with the 18-inch bubble for Musician is really good. Maybe not against DG's list though, because DG will quite happily just not try and outmaneuver him and just let him come to him. Yeah, I think it's becoming a bit of a trend that if Henrik can get to Deej, then I think the only thing he really needs to worry about is the whole Guardians. But it's whether he gets there or not.
Yeah, I mean, Henrik does play dwarves.
He does, so he knows the book, yeah.
He knows the book, so he should be pretty comfortable from that perspective. He'll know what he's going up against. This seems quite similar to the list that he used when I played him. It's quite versatile. Tusker Cav with banner of speed are pretty scary, because that's quite a long charge range they've got. They can hang back and they can still get into combat. And on the charge, unfortunately for Henrik, anyone who hasn't had the pleasure of playing Henrik has some of the shittest dice I've ever seen or heard of anyone actually having.
Yeah.
If he comes to this tournament with those bloody yellow dice, I'm going to be disappointed, because I think there's been multiple conversations about those dice.
Yeah.
Did you not buy him dice?
I did. I bought him new dice because I played him at Strife and I played him at Siege, and both times I played him, his dice were fucking awful. So after Siege, I said to him, I'm going to buy you some new dice. And apparently they're just as bad, so he mixes them together just to really get all those shit juices flowing. Although, having said that, he played Monroe a few weeks ago, and his dice were the hottest they've ever been. He was just getting everything, so...
That's him knackered. He's not going to have good dice now for another, 6 months.
Peaked too early. I think he's due some luck, though, so this would be a really good time against them. Felix, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I think so. I had someone helping me check all the lists were correct, and obviously lots of them were just not correct. But when they saw Henrik's list, their description of it was that it's an 8th edition list, and I think I probably agree with that. It's got a real spread of lots of different things, but it doesn't seem to have sort of like a central theme. It's a bit of a jack of all trades and master of none. Yeah. And I think that when it faces off against an army list that is more honed to a single purpose, like David's is, and like a few of the other lists, in the event are, I think it might struggle just because it won't do one thing very, very well. Like, it won't just do combat very well, or it won't be able to go toe to toe with the shooting. So I think he'll end up pushing up. He'll end up pushing up at David pretty hard, because I think that's the only way that he's going to be able to sort of get anything out of it. But he's got a lot of points in that Thunder Cannon and the Yetis and the Saber-Tooth Tiger and the sort of the solo Mammoth Hunter. So I'm not sure if he's going to have enough really hard-hitting stuff once he gets to him to really do much damage to the dwarves.
Yep, I think that's all fair.
Okay, so where are you putting your money, Andrew?
I'd probably say Deej, because I think he's got a lot of tools to deal with it. But I really hope Henrik deserves some luck this tournament. So I like Deej and Henrik, they're both great guys. But Henrik deserves something off the gods. So I'd love to see Henrik come to the tournament and roll average. But I think Deej probably has the nudge on this one.
Yeah, I think Deej has probably got the edge here.
Cool. Not to be condescending, but I'm going to give to Henrik, just because I know he plays dwarves, so I'm hoping that knowledge will help him.
There's definitely a fair point. If he's got that insider knowledge, he might know where the weak points of the list are to aim for.
Absolutely. Okay.
So moving on.
Matchup number 8 was the one and only Garth Barron against the one and only Guillermo, aka Spanish Stallion. I would actually just love to watch this game because Guillermo only knows how to play one way, and that's hyper aggressive. And I think Gareth has a lot of tools to deal with hyper-aggressive Saurian lists. So I would just love to watch for Guillermo's commentary, but I fear I'll have a lot on my plate, so I might miss it.
Maybe so we can live stream that one.
Yeah, that's definitely one for the Twitter. So Gareth's list is nice and easy. Okay, so Gareth's bringing his trusty Undying Dynasties. He's gone for a Terracotta army. So he's got a Death Cult Hierarch on a horse, who's his Hierophant. He's a Wizard Master with Evocation. He's got the Soul Conduit, Talisman of the Void, and Secret Hourglass. He's got a Pharaoh on a Chariot, who is his general, who is the leader of the Terracotta army. He has a Great Aspen Bow, a Great Weapon, Light Armour, Destiny's Call, and the Kingslayer. So pretty tidy. Got another Pharaoh, who's on another Chariot with a Great Aspen Bow, Heavy Armour, Death Cheater, and the Scourge of Kings. And then he has 2 4-man Skelly Bob Chariots, and Skelly Bob is their official title according to Gareth.
It absolutely is.
So they have Champion Musician Standard, and they're the Legion Charioteers. And then he has a 10-man unit of Skellington, as in SK, Skellington Cavalry with Musician, whose only purpose in the game is to keep that Hierarch safe. He's got an 8-man unit of Shabti with Musician paired weapons, which are just solid. And then he took the gamble, did Gareth. He went for 2 Dread Sphinxes, so they're the big bad battle cats that are really geared towards monster hunting. And against Guillermo, I think that's probably a good call.
I think it's one of the only lists where it might actually be a good call.
Exactly.
So I'm sure Guillermo will be very happy that you matched him into that, Paul.
Awesome. I've got a question. If you're on a chariot, are you large or standard?
Large.
Can you have Destiny's Call on a chariot? You don't have to be standard size.
Oh.
That's a very good question.
Oh, Gareth's at it again.
He's already flagged it. Let me have a look what he originally sent. So I thought he sent over Death Cheater. Does it say
Destiny's Call?
Yep, standard size.
Let's see. Destiny's Call. Let me see what he sent on the list. Here we go. This is going to be a drama live. Yeah, he's put Destiny's Call in. Oh dear.
Shame. Live on Mad Git Radio.
He's already taking a massive list penalty for this, so we'll see what happens there.
I only know that because I fucked up and I did that before.
I'm sure he'll be really happy you called him out now, so at least he can try and change it.
Yeah, that's cool. So Paul, do you want to go through the Spanish Stallions list?
So Guillermo has a Skink Priest on Palanquin as his general. He's a Wizard Adept with Druidism, Light Armour, the Sun Tablet, and Magical Heirloom. He's got a Saurian Veteran on Raptor, who's the BSB. He's got Lance, Shield, Supernatural Dexterity, and the Stalker Standard. 24 Saurian Warriors with Musician, Standard Bearer, Spears, and the Banner of Discipline. 2 units of 17 Skink Braves with Musicians and Poison Javelins. Big unit of 9 Raptor Riders with Musician, Standard Bearer, Lances, and the Totem of Mixoatl. 8 Chameleons, a Stygiosaur, 1 Taurosaur with Engine of Ancients, and a Taurosaur with Giant Flowpipes, and 2 units of 2 Weapon Beasts, which are Spearbacks. I think this has been a list in the making for a while. I think Guillermo's been trying a lot of different things. To me, I can see things that he's been running since day one that he's tweaked and he's improved upon, and then he's obviously brought on other things. He was running Coatl for a long time, but I think he prefers the Skink Priest now just for points. It's a little bit less risky. I like the big unit of Raptors.
Yeah, that was something.
That's cool.
Because before Siege, I remember I was trying to convince him to take the Raptors, and I think because they got slightly better as well with the 2.0, that they're just really tasty now.
And just having the Stalker Standard in there just makes them really versatile. They can basically just go where they want.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the same kind of idea that I had with the Nightly Orders. Yeah. He's got his Scarvet in there. So, I mean, in theory, wherever they hit, they should really hurt. But that comes with all the issues that that unit had for me, and that if it gets targeted, there's only so much that your armor can ping off. So,
it's a lot of points. I mean,
exactly,
it's going to be 1,200 points if he loses that unit because his BSB's in there. Because of the bonus.
Yeah. Felix, what do you think of this one?
I really like his list. I have to say I do. I think that not taking a Coatl in Saurian Ancients is missing a trick. I just think, it's a load of points, but those things are crazy strong and can just dictate a game from the Magic phase really easily. And I like the Saurian Warriors. I think they're very cool. I think that if you give them spears and you give them the fighting extra rank and extra agility banner, serpent, they become really, really scary. But I think the list itself is solid. It's scary. The Taurosaurs are going to give a nice bubble of protection to everything when he faces shooting armies. And, both Taurosaurs are hard to deal with for most armies. I think the fact that he's been drawn against someone with no shooting and with two massive flying things that love killing Taurosaurs doesn't help him for this game. But I think his list in general is solid. The Raptor Riders are always a tough one. I really rate him in units of 6, just as a sort of bit more throwaway down one flank scoring unit, because they haven't got high agility, so they can struggle against elves, especially when they charge in and they lose loads of people before they get to swing. But the list itself is solid. It's got lots of cool toys, lots of cool tools, and I think that against many of the other lists, just potentially not this one Gareth list, he'll do very well.
Yeah, I think Gareth has the tools to pick Guillermo's list apart, but I don't think this is going to be one of the games where it's a definite, because I think Gareth still needs things to go right. He needs those battle cats to do their job. He needs the charges on those the chariots, because I'm guessing the chariots are going to go for stuff like the Stegosaurs or the smaller units. So I think Gareth still needs stuff to go his way, but I think definitely list on list, he's got the tools that he needs to cause G some pain.
Yeah, I think depending on the matchups with certain units on units, the Druidism could come in really handy for Guillermo.
Yep.
Especially if Gareth gets the Sphinx into the targets that he wants, if he can buff up toughness and then somehow get a flank charge or something just to hold it in place, then that could be potentially quite nasty.
I think if Gareth gets those cats in, it's not looking good for G. I think Guillermo needs to be targeting them. There's so many points as well. They're 500 points each. If he gets even these weapon beasts, just hunt for 6s. Just go for it. Get his chameleon skinks firing at them with the poison shots, because they've only got 5 wounds. The resilience 8, so they're a complete nightmare once they get in. But in terms of light arm shooting, they're actually quite susceptible to that. Okay, guys. So what do you think? Who has the edge?
I'd go Gareth just simply on experience, but I think you're right with regards to certain things having to go his way. I think Guillermo's list is still very good, and if he gets the matchups that he wants, and especially getting charges off and stuff, then I think it will still be quite a close game.
Okay, Felix?
Yeah, I think so. If you hadn't told me that Guillermo was a bit of a nutcase and was just going to push everything forward, I think that Guillermo's list itself is quite similar to Stephen Dorning's Empire list. It can be played quite safely and sort of conservatively and pick up small wins and then sort of get 11, 12, 13 points every game. But if he's going to be a lunatic and push forward at Gareth with his flying kitties of death, then I think Gareth will probably have the edge on him. So,
G, don't do it, right? You listening? Play the game. Okay, so we're giving Gareth the nudge there. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're almost there. The next matchup was Mel against Chris Bond.
Cool. So Mel has Sylvan Elves. So I'll run through this.
Sure.
So for his general, Mel has Chieftain with Pathfinder Longbow, and that's it. 225 points. Very cheap. For BSB, he has another Chieftain with Pathfinder Light Armor, Shield, Longbow, and the Bow of Wiscan. He's got a Druid with Cosmology, with Wizard Master, a Longbow, and the Crystal Ball. In core, he's got 3 units of 8 Dryads, 2 units of 9 Heath Riders, and in special, he's got 2 Forest Eagles, 2 units of 6 Kestrel Knights with full command, shield, and banner of the Silent Mist, and 2 units of 10 Pathfinders. Small, quite compact army.
Yep. For Chris, Felix, you want to take this one?
Sure. Let me just get up to the ID. So Chris is a pretty experienced Infernal Dwarf player, so I think his list reflects that. He's got a Prophet on Temple Lamassu, General, Wizard Master on Pyromancy Alchemy, Essence of a Free Mind, so you can choose between the 2. Basalt Infusion, Crystal Ball, which is that really cool sort of redone magic item that gives you +1 to this spell, an Infernal Weapon and a Shield. He's got a Vizier on a Bull of Shamut, who is your BSB. He's got Dragon Staff, Ghostly Guard, Talisman of Shielding, Infernal Weapon, and Shield. He's got another Vizier with Willow's Ward, Mask of the Furnace, Dragonfire Gem, Infernal Weapon, and Shield. He's got 3 tens of Citadel Guard with Sentinel Axes, Shields, and Musicians, 29 Hobgoblins, Shields, and Champion, 23 Immortals, Full Command, Infernal Weapons, and Shields, 2 gunnery teams with Flamethrowers, and 2 units of 3 Flying Kadim Incarnates.
Very solid.
Very solid.
So, Felix, let's start with you on this one. What do you think?
I think it's a really, really cool matchup, actually. I think that Chris's list is interesting in that it has those 2 flying characters. So against lots of the lists, lots of the ones we've already gone through, he could have a pretty scary day at the office because that general, who is also your wizard, is on a flying creature and there's loads of bolt throwers and cannons and God knows what else around. But against Mel, I think it's not too terrible. He's got pyromancy, and the beauty with Mel's list is that he's got those 2 6s of Kestrel Knights, and they are super fast. They can get around the edges of things, and they've also got the Banner of Mist, so they're hard to shoot. Now, Chris doesn't really care about that because he's got pyromancy that ignores the Banner of Mist, and he's also got his own 2 flyers who can sort of counter wherever those 6 Kestrel Knights go and be relatively sort of happy that they're going to be able to take him in a fight, or at least sort of give him a good go. So I think it's going to be a pretty close one here.
Paul, you any thoughts on this one?
I'm not sure. Sylvan Elves are quite... if you catch them, they're fucked.
It's catching them, that's the problem.
I'm looking at his list, and he's going to be so quick. Heath Riders, are they movement 10?
Movement 10, yeah.
Or are they 10? Fuck's sake.
Oh, they're 9. I think it might be 9, you're right. And there's light troops too.
Yeah. And then the Eagles, yeah.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Pathfinders, what kind of AP do they do?
AP3?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
So, and they scout, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're scout and skirmish. And they're the ones that they can, they hit on 0+ bullshit, or they can get it's like +1 to hit or +1 to wound or something like that. On my show notes under Pathfinders, I just wrote some elf bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends. I think Mel's list, he can stay away from him, and he can just not engage if he doesn't think that he's going to have the edge.
Yeah, Mel is renowned for being, the avoidance player. I think him and Mike have got
yeah, absolutely.
They do it so well. And this list is just so well suited to Mel's playstyle, I think. I'm not convinced about the Kestrel Knights, but Mel knows the book a lot better than me, and I know in the Scotland chat he's been really eager to get them out onto the table. So if Mel plays like Mel plays, I think it's going to be really hard for Chris, because I think he would just stay away from him. He will take the points where he can, and then he's got enough bow shots to just put pressure on those flyers. So yeah, I think I would give the nudge to Mel.
Cool. Does he play in a lot of tournaments? I obviously don't know Chris. What's his kind of gaming background?
Yeah. Chris plays in quite a few tournaments, so he knows his book. He knows Infernal Dwarves a lot. He just plays Infernal Dwarves, and he also knows Mel well enough to make sure that Mel plays fast and they get to the end of all of their turns. And it's notoriously bad at doing, not because he's sort of like a malicious player. He's just like the kind of guy that slow plays life. So I think that will definitely help game one. And also, there are I hear that the TO is a bit of an arsehole, and there's some pretty strict time penalties being enforced as well.
Yeah, I heard that the TO just comes around and flicks you in the ball sack. I don't know if that's
I think he sweeps your army off the table onto the floor, and that's it. I'm like, sorry, you can't play anymore. It's done.
And then flicks you in the ball sack just to add that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Felix, who gets the nod?
I think Mel's playing in sort of a new list. We want to test out those 2 units of Kestrels. But I think, like you say, if he's on his A game and he plays like Mel, and he avoids when he needs to avoid, and he sort of waits his time, and he takes his shot when it's ready, then I think Mel will take it.
Paul, what do you think?
I hate Sylvan Elves. So I'm going to go Infernal Dwarves.
Yeah. That's the kind of, like really in-depth analysis you get on Mad Git Radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Just pure bias
Yeah.
and prejudice. What do you think?
I think Mel. I just think that you can stay away from him. If Mel cocks up a movement phase, then he's going to lose a lot of points. So I'll wait and see. I think probably Mel though.
Cool.
Right, next one. Right, so I'll run through Jack's list. Jack is joining us for the weekend, which is lovely to have him up, because he wasn't sure if he was going to make it. But we are pleased to see that he is. So his general is a vampire count with Lamia. She has the commandment, blood power. She's the general. She's got deader eyes, heavy armor, shield, legend of the Black King, which is the +1 armor, 4 up Aegis. She's got Willow's Ward, she's an adept, and she's got witchcraft. So pretty tasty, really nice. He's also got a barrel guard for his BSB, with the hypnotic pendant, which I can't actually remember what that does. I'll need to check that up after.
It's distracting for the person carrying it, and it gives parry to the unit.
Ah, yeah, cool. So that's Tullion's teeth, essentially, isn't it? They've just changed it. Then he's got Necromancer, Adept, with Evocation, and the Necromantic Staff. He's got 40 Skeletons with Halberds, Full Command, and the Legion Standard. And he's got 39 Skeletons with Shields, Full Command, and the Legion Standard. He's got 2 Cadaver Wagons, which is an interesting choice. And then he's got the Meat and Bones, which is 30 Barrel Guard with Full Command, the Black Standard of Zagrod, Great Weapons, and then he's got 2 Shrieking Horrors. I know you were saying beforehand, Felix, that how did he get all this in one list, but he's managed. That is going to fill a table.
Yeah, I mean when we go through the lists after the next player, we'll go through it. But it's one of my favourite lists at the event, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Who is he up against? He's up against Martin. Paul, do you want to go that? Have you got that at hand?
Yeah, I've got that. So Martin has a druid for his general with Wizard Master, Cosmology. He has a Sylvan Longbow, the Magical Heirloom, and Lifeseed Feathers. He also has a Chieftain as his BSB. He's got the Forest Guardian. He's got light armor, a shield, the Elven Cloak, Spear, and Hunter's Honor. He has a druid, which is a wizard adept with shamanism. For core, he's got 24 dryads, 11 Sylvan Archers, and 26 Forest Guard with full command and the Rending Banner. In special, he's got a Forest Eagle, a unit of 6 Thicket Beasts, 3 Kestrel Knights, a Tree Father, 9 Sylvan Sentinels, and 2 units of 8 Pathfinders. What do you think, Felix?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of the lists are pretty cool. I like Martin's list a lot. I think that it's got the standard 3 units of special shooting for Sylvan Elms, but it's also got some pretty decent combat threats. It's one of those sort of combined arms lists that I think if it comes up against the right opposition, it's got a lot of different tools and it could do very well. What do you guys think about his list?
I like it.
Yeah.
I played Martin a couple of weeks ago, not with this list. I think he's changed it a little bit. I don't think he had the Tree Father when I played him, and he had some of the kind of magical fast cav guys, so he's taking them out. I like the Thicket Beasts. They're a really good anvil. The Sentinels and the Pathfinders are really good. I really hate their units just because they do really well against high armor targets. I like it. I went through this list kind of in detail, and then I was looking at it on paper, and I think he does have a lot of options with the list. It's got good magical support. Cosmology is a great lore. I don't really know about Jax, because like I say, I've never played against VC, but I know Shrieking Horrors are a nightmare. Barrow Guard are nasty to deal with. It's a lot of bodies to get through, so yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to just give Jack the nod just because experience. I mean, it's not a particularly fast army. I mean, he's got the Horrors. What's their movement? 7?
8-16.
I think so, yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think Martin's going to... Like, Jack's list is like, you know what it's going to do. I think Barrow Guard are in the same bracket as Imperial Guard, and they're just boring as fuck. But they do their job really well. And Martin's list isn't as mobile as something like Mel's, so I don't think he can dance around them, because he's got stuff like the giant the bushes, yeah, the Thicket Beast, and even his Forest Guard block. So I think he's going to lose points to stuff like that, and he's not got enough shooting to take that big unit off. But if he dances around the big unit, and he takes stuff like the Shrieking Horrors are points that you could take there.
Yeah.
But I think Martin needs to be on top of his game, and even if he's on top of his game, I think he's looking at a minor win if you can pull it off. But I think Jack's probably got the edge, because I don't think Jack has to work as hard to get something out of that game.
What do you think, Felix?
So I think Jack's list is, I think it's probably my favourite of the whole event. It's a weird one that I think the reason I like it is it reminds me a lot of an Empire list. You've got 3 massive slabs of infantry in the 2 skellies and the barrow guard. Then you've got those cadaver wagons who give everything +1 regen within 6 inches. So realistically, if you position them properly, all 3 of those units can have a 5-up regen. And then you've got the vampire itself, which gives whichever unit it's in offensive and defensive skill 6. And then you've got the Barrow King, who gives whatever unit it's in parry. So if you chuck them all into the Barrow Guard, they've got offensive and defensive skill 6, great weapons, +1 to hit, 5-up regen, and parry. And that unit that's frightening.
It's over 2,000 points in one place.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But I mean, then at the same time, you can spread them out. So you can give the shield skeletons the defensive skill 6, so that with parry they go up to defensive skill 7. You can have the skeletons with halberds. You can have the Barrow King in there, so he gives the halberds parry, so they still get parry even with the halberds. Yeah. And then the Barrow guys are still +1 to hit, great weapons, and then all of them have got 5-up regen. So it's a kind of, if Jack plays this well and he just creates a long line of infantry anchored with Shrieking Horrors on the corners, he should be able to sort of trap Martin into a corner and sort of net him up and make sure he can kind of put the squeeze on turns 4 and 5.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We're thinking Jack for that one.
I think so, yeah. Right, so, next one.
Penultimate matchup. We've got Kieran with his Vermin Swarm up against Andy Cowan with his Dread Elves. Not Dread Elves, Dwarven Halls.
Can I go through Kieran's list?
Yeah, you're really excited by this, aren't you?
I really like Kieran's list. It's my favourite.
Would you be saying that if you were playing on turn 1?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, because like I said earlier, I had 3 lists that I really just do not want to play. The 2 Warriors lists and Kieran. So no doubt they'll be all 3 of my day 1 games. Probably. I think it's a really well written list. I think it can take on a lot. And I think he's thought about a lot of things. It can really just handle so many threats. So his generals, he's gone for a Vermin Demon. So the Vermin Demon it's got a bit of love recently. So he's got that as his general. We'll talk about him in a wee bit. For BSB, he's gone cheap and cheerful with just a chief with the Crystal Ball. The Crystal Ball gives you the +1 to dispel against a selected wizard, which is really nice. And Talisman of the Void for that extra channel. He's also got a Plague Pendulum with a Plague Patriarch on top, who's an apprentice with occultism. And he's also got Hero's Heart on him. For core, he's got 2 units of 10 footpads, who are just mobile scoring. He's got 20-man unit of Vermin Guard with the Lightning Rod, which is the most fucking annoying item in the game. He's got 30 Plague Brotherhoods with full command, 20 Giant Rats for just chaff, a Globe Launcher, a Lightning Cannon, 2 4-man units of Thunderhawks with a champion with a Nathal Thrower, and 2 Rotary Guns. I really, really like this list. I think it's really well written, and I think it will do very well.
Cool. He is up against Andy Cowan, who has Dwarven Holds. So will I read out this, and then you guys can play the drinking game?
Sure. Welcome to the final round of the Dwarven drinking game.
Okay, so Andy has a king on Shield Bearers, who's the general. He's got a great weapon, a Rune of Iron, which I've gone through, and he has 3 Runes of Shielding, which, do you know what those are, Andy?
They're the Aegis save.
Yeah, okay. So nice and easy to start us off. He's got a Thane for the BSB. He's got Shield, Holdstone, and 2 Runes of Iron, and a Rune of Shielding. A Runic Smith with 3 Battle Runes. Shield, Rune of Iron, Rune of Shielding, and Rune of Devouring. What does that do, Felix?
Oh, that's the Arcane Rune. It's the one that you can use. It's one use only. It's like a Dispel Scroll, but you don't make a dispel attempt, and instead it goes off, but you can't cast a spell again, I think.
Nice.
Nice.
We also have an engineer with a shield and pistol, an anvil of power, dragon seeker, monster seeker, rune of quickening, and 2 runes of lightning. Core, he's got a big group of 30 clan warriors, full command with spears and shields, banner of speed, 15-man greybeard unit with shields, 10 clan marksmen with musician shields and guild crafted handguns, 17 deep watch, full command, the runic standard of the anvil. What does that do, Andrew?
Fuck. It's got something to do with combat.
Yeah.
But, nah.
Right, drink.
Okay.
Done pretty well, though, so far. I think only you and me have got one wrong. I think Felix is the only one that's got everything.
Oh, well, that's okay. That holds the form.
Yeah, the runic standard of the anvil, basically friendly units. Yeah.
It's charges or something.
Friendly units charging, enemy units, reroll fail ranges.
Okay.
So, pretty good for dwarves. A wee stubby legs. 11 seekers, champion skirmish, vanguard, steam bomber, an organ gun, which is rune crafted, obviously, and 2 vengeance seekers. And that's Andy's list. So Andy's pretty solid with the old dwarves. He knows them pretty well. It's his kind of go-to army.
Yeah. Andy's list actually really surprised me. Because I think this is the first dwarf list that Andy's written that doesn't actually impress me all that much.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I know I sound like a dick saying that, but I just think it's very vanilla. I don't really get it, if I'm totally honest. Like, the king's tanky, but he could be tankier. I mean, he's quite killy, but he could be killier. That goes all the way through the list. He's gone for very general when... I don't know if that was the right call. But I mean, Andy is a really good player. Like, he knows the dwarf book inside out, and he's always insanely consistent when it comes to tournament performances. So I would be really wary to write him off, but this is generally the first list that I've seen him play where I'm just like, it doesn't scare me. Where a lot of the time his lists do scare me a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think when I was going through the lists, the sort of the thing I wrote about this was I was saying, like you said, it's a combined arms list. It's very sort of general. It doesn't seem to do anything exceptionally well. I think the real thing he's going to struggle with, especially against Kieran's list, is he hasn't got any ranged reach that is more than 30 inches. And so it's very hard to convince armies to come within 30 inches of the, for the organ gun and for the what are they called? The guys with the handguns. If you don't have anything to sort of force them onto, if you haven't got like a cannon or a bolt thrower or something else that means you can push them forward. Like when I looked at this, it looked to me like if he lost the organ gun and the engineer, sort of 450 points, that he could have pumped into the deep watch, and then that deep watch becomes 30 deep watch, which starts looking a lot scarier, and then you can start pushing at things hard.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrew does play against Vermissworm a lot.
He does. So, I mean, that's a massive advantage that he'll have, that you'll know a lot of Kieran's tricks. And Kieran's list does have a lot of tricks in it as well. There's a lot of stuff that you look at and it's not very impressive, but it's got all these inner roles and synergies, which is one of the reasons I really like it.
Yeah, I like the Vermin Demon. I think he's cool.
He's so versatile. I mean, he's got a massive target painted on his head because he's only a 5-up, 5-up. He gets the 4-up pages against magic attacks, but
yeah.
I mean, if Andy had taken even the list that he took to Midlands with some more artillery and a much more kind of defensive list, then I think it swings in Andy's favour. But I just don't think he has the right tools in this matchup. I would put my money on Kieran, but yeah, I think it's going to be tough. But I think Kieran probably has the edge.
Okay, are you going that way as well, Felix?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Andrew's list is a bad list. I think that Kieran's list is a very good list. He's got things to deal with armor. He's got things to deal with multiple wounds. He's got the Vermin Demon and the Plague Pendulum that can kind of deal with lots of things that come towards him. He's just got a lot of answers for a lot of things. And also, he's played Vermin Swarm for a long, long time. So he knows what he's doing. I think with this list and a decent draw, he could make a real push for the podium at the event.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, me having said all that, after I get beat off Barry and Paul, I'll probably end up playing Andy at some point and he'll beat me, so it's like...
So, last matchup.
Last one we got there.
So, we have Alex up against Nick.
Yeah, I want to know, is Alex borrowing Jack's army? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I think he might be using the stuff he had last year for UD, which is a multi-purpose dead dudes. But he's playing the list that's been shamelessly stolen from, I think it was Irish guys played it. It might even have been Barry who played it a month or two ago. We've stolen it, and we've obviously made it a lot better, but it's still been stolen.
Do you want me to run through that? Or Felix, you want to run through that one?
Yeah, sure. It's a nice small one. He's got a vampire count, who's his general. It's got ghoul lord. He's got halberd, shamanism. He's a wizard adept, so 2 spells on shamanism, and he's got the Strigoi bloodline. He's got the hypnotic pendant, which is distracting for him and parry for the unit. So he goes in the ghouls and gives them parry. And he's got touch of greatness on his halberd. So I think he's strength 7 on his halberd, but he strikes at agility 8 or 9. It's absolutely petrifying. He's got another vampire count with a great weapon. He's also a wizard adept, so 2 spells on shamanism. He's on a Strigoi bloodline as well, and he's got the unholy tome, which is the bound version of the movement spell from Evocation. He has got Vampire Courtier, who's his BSB. The BSB has got the Rending Banner and the Bestial Bolt upgrade, so he turns into a 40 by 40 mil large infantry character. He is a wizard apprentice with 1 spell on shamanism, also Strigoi, and has a great weapon. He sits inside one of 2 units of 8 ghasts. When he sits inside them, he also gives that unit he's inside scoring, which is quite nice. Then there's 40 ghouls, champion and vanguard, 25 zombies, and the musician, which babysits a cadaver wagon inside, and then he's got 3 pieces of chaff in 5 dire wolves.
Very nice. And he's gone up against Nick. Paul, do you want to do that one?
Yep, I'll do this one. So Nick is bringing his beast herds. He has a beast lord on a razor tusk chariot, who's the general. He's got light armor, shield, crown of horns, supernatural dexterity, talisman of shielding, and the trickster's cunning. He has a soothsayer, who's a wizard master with shamanism. He's got light armor, ancestral carvings, dark rain, and the seed of the dark forest. For his BSB, he's got a beast chieftain. He's the greater totem bearer upgrade with a great weapon, light armor, destiny's call, and lucky charm. In core, he's got 2 units of 32 wild horn with full command, paired weapons, and they have the blooded horn totem. In special, he's got 2 units of 5 centaurs with ambush, musician, paired weapons, and throwing weapons. 2 units of 5 gargoyles, a briar beast, 21 longhorn, musician and halberds, 6 minotaurs, paired weapons and musician, and a razor tusk chariot.
I think it's really funny that before the tournament, Nick said to me, like, he just wants to play combat lists at the tournament and he'll be fine. He doesn't want to play against any Shin lists. And I'm not sure he'll be feeling that after finding out he's playing this list.
Yeah.
I think Alex's list is really, really strong. I think ghouls just now in the Strigoi link are the strongest option in that book. They're just so nasty. I mean, it's very point and click. You know exactly what it's going to do. I think it could be a very good game, actually, because they're just going to smash in the middle. And Nick will have the advantage that he's going first, and he's getting all these relolls and stuff like that. So it could probably go either way. I've read the Vampire book a lot, and I really like the Ghoul and Ghast setup. But, you know, if Nick gets those charges in, he's going first and he gets some combos off, which he's got enough bodies to do, then it could start going very, very wrong for Alex.
Yeah, and Nick has a very good track record of making very long charges.
Yeah. Nick doesn't actually do any charges under 10 on the dice. He doesn't believe in them. So.
No. What do you think, Felix?
So obviously Alex's list is very blunt. It's the same as sort of Barry's list. It's just a push forward list, and then you hope you have enough stuff to smash someone. Nick's list is interesting. It's obviously I played Beast for like a year, the whole last year, until 2.0 came out. But I've been trying something very similar to what he's gone for lately. And I think that I look at his list though, and the theme is there, but I just think there's quite a few little bits and pieces that he could change to make it a bit more efficient. Like the 2 units of wild horns, I think are really cool. But if you drop them down to 25, you can give them ambush, and then that starts having 2 units of ambushers coming on. I mean, like against Alex, it would be great because you could put it straight into that sort of zombie bunker and eat up his cadaver wagon. But it makes people think twice before pushing out at you, which I think the beast is really cool. And then the fact that you guys are saying he likes making long charges. So he's got 2 Razor Tusk chariots to give him the +1 to the charge. But it's also a bit weird to me that his Minotaurs and his Longhorn don't have the, the Black Wing Totem that you can cast to give them an extra D3 +1 charge range. Like those things synergize really nicely together. And then also he's brought 6 Minotaurs. You would think that if he's bringing 6 Minotaurs, they're okay, but they're not the greatest. You might consider taking a Minotaur Lord, which at the moment I think is a lot more survivable and puts out a lot of hurt compared to the Razor Tusk Chariot. But I think that the sort of the theme of the list is there, like having a lot of relatively scary units that lots of other units can't deal with. And I think it will just depend on the deployment a lot for who gets the upper hand in the combats for this game.
I think Nick's had a bit of a bad run with beasts. I think he had a lot of games where he wasn't doing very well, and he just kind of felt like, like there wasn't much he could do. And I think he has tried a lot of different things. I think he's tried Minotaur generals and stuff, but I'm guessing that if he's bringing this, and I know he had this on the weekend, that he's obviously finding some success with this. Would that be fair to say, Andrew?
Yeah, I think Nick went through a horrendous period after 2.0 came out, because I play Nick a lot. And playing against Nick Vampires is a really good test of both armies, because you're going up against something that isn't necessarily a good matchup for you. But Nick went through a really bad period where he wasn't getting any luck. He wasn't happy with his list. I don't think he'd quite clicked onto the changes that 2.0 meant. And I think he must have gone through probably about 8 or 9 different iterations of lists in probably about a month. So from Christmas to now, he's gone through all these different things. And he kind of settled on this one just because it's like you were saying, Felix, it's the multiple threats. And each of them are quite hard to get rid of. And then with shamanism and stuff like that, he counters shooting armies quite well. He went off ambushing because he was finding that a lot of people just deployed against it. And I was trying to tell him that I think even when people deploy against ambushing, you're getting something out of that because it means they can't deploy.
Yeah, that's one of the whole points, isn't it? You do stupid deployment they wouldn't ordinarily do.
Yeah. But I think that he was just getting frustrated because the way that he was playing didn't really work as well in this one. So he was getting some success for this list, so I think that's the reason he went for it in the end. And I think, it's a good list, and he's got, particularly, there's a lot of shooting lists going at this tournament, and he's got the tools to counter them pretty well. It really just depends on what Nick turns up. Whether it's if it's the crazy Nick that does long charges and gets them and really pushes the envelope, then I think he could do very well.
Yeah, I think the matchup, because it is going to come down to close combat, I think Nick will be happy with that.
Yeah.
Has he played much against vampires? I mean, part of the problem is we don't have anyone in the club that plays it currently. I mean, I'm sure you're going to have your list at some point, so we'll get some vampire games in at some point, but I don't know if Nick's played against vampires.
Well, Monroe's got some vampires, and I know he tested his Beast Thirds list against Monroe's vampires, I think, twice.
Okay, so you'll maybe be aware of some of the stuff that you'll be up against.
I think, Monroe took the kind of the Barrel Guard build, where it's, the big unit Barrel Guard, and you kind of build everything around that. So Alex's list will be different to what he's faced before. But I think, like you said, I think Nick will be happy with the combat matchup. I think he's just got to... like Felix said, it's going to come down to deployment and movement, I think, and that will be the difference between who gets the edge.
Okay, where are you putting your money?
Probably have to go Alex, just because I know how horrible that list can be. I really rate the Ghoul, Strigoi, and Ghast setup, so I would probably say Alex, but I think this one will come down to the game itself. I don't think this one's a pre-decided matchup in any way.
Okay, what about you, Felix?
So while we were writing this list, I played that Strigoi list a couple of times. And if you haven't played with it before, it's quite hard to get to grips with. So I think that, Nick is the player who's going to have the sort of the best chance catching Alex unawares, because this will be his first game actually playing with them. So I think Nick's got a fair chance that he might, if the dice go his way, might be able to take it.
Yeah. I mean, he's got good magic, and playing against Beast Herds, if they have a good magic phase and they get tokens off in addition to some of the other spells, then they're a nightmare. So in close combat, they are very strong. So, yeah, I'll go Nick. But yeah, I think that'll be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think it is going to be combats, sooner rather than later. And then I think it's going to be over sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't think they'll struggle to get finished. You have the cast and vote in that one. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I will go with Nick. I think I should back Alex, as he's, vice captain of Scotland. But I think that Nick will probably be able to take it if he plays well and out deploys Alex.
Okay, so Nick gets that one. Cool. Right, that's us. Well, thanks for sticking with us. Get through that. My Wi-Fi is having some technical difficulties, so thanks for powering on through that. Before we finish up, let's just have a quick chat about our overall thoughts. And actually, let's make it interesting. Let's see who we each think are going to be on that podium on the end of day 2. So, Paul, I'll put you on the spot because I can't do it to our guest. Who are your first, second, and third placers?
First, second, and third. It's hard to say, because there's a number of armies that I've never played against. So it's difficult to assess some of the matchups from my perspective. But I think Jack's VC list has got good potential.
Yep.
I really like Kieran's list, so I think he could be up there. And then I think Barry's list, just if he gets good matchups, if he's fortunate with who he plays against, I think a lot of people are going to struggle to take off that many units of Chosen Knights. So I think those 3 could do particularly well.
Okay. Felix, what's your gut telling you?
So there's a few things. I think Jack Austin has got my favourite list. I think that there's a very large chance that he'll be getting absolutely trashed. So I think that might go against him, and so I think he might just miss the podium. Mel, I think he's just a great player and he's got a great list, but I think he may be taking a time penalty. They are pretty strict, so I think that will probably kick him off the podium. So I think I'm left with the 3. I think Chris Legg he's such an experienced player, and I think that as long as he doesn't go into too many bad matchups that can pick out that vampire, I think he'll do very well. And I think the guys who will come 1 and 2 are Kieran and Gareth. And I think the reason that is that all of the lists that I expect, or the players that I expect to be sort of in that top third, I think both Gareth and Kieran's lists are pretty good hard counters to them. And so I think that once it gets down to sort of game 4, game 5, and they're playing these guys, that they'll have the edge there, and that might just take them to the top.
Which is why my submarine tactic will pull off, because yeah, I think my favourite list is Kieran's. I think Kieran will, if that list works, I think he's going to be pushing for podium. I think Jack as well, and it's a really hard list to deal with. And I don't think, there's not a lot of catapults and stuff kicking about. I think I'm actually the only one that's taken proper catapults. And I think that Barrow Guardian, it's just so hard to deal with unless you can really just concentrate fire on it. So, yeah, I think Jack is going to be there or thereabouts. For third, I think that it could go anyone, really. I really like Tim's list. And I think if Tim gets the right matchups, he can be pushing into that area. John's list as well, really strong. Like we said, Mel and Gareth. Although Gareth seems to be getting all the list penalties in the world, so I don't know.
He's asleep right now in New Zealand. I've got no idea how he's going to get his changes before posting the list document in half an hour.
So I would say Kieran, Jack, and I'll go Tim for third.
Nice.
Solidarity with my fellow coach.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Really not looking forward to game 1 now.
Alright, Tim's a really good player as well. I think that's going to be tough. But I think all those games will be good fun. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be good banter on the day.
So, any final words or thoughts, Felix?
Well, there's one announcement I can make, which is good.
Oh.
So for everyone who's coming in with the great man that runs Common Ground, and he says that drinking is allowed for anything, beers, ciders, wine, anything under like sort of 15%. No hard spirits, so no doing shot to you, me on the bottom table. But if you want to bring some beers and have a good time and share them with your opponent, then you're very welcome.
Awesome. Paul, any final words before we wrap up?
No, just say really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good event. Looking forward to playing against some new opponents, getting to grips with some new armies. I think it'll be a great day. I
think it's going to be really good fun. Really looking forward to it. So, just in terms of final announcements, if you are coming to the tournament, Common Ground will be open on the Friday if you want to come down and get some practice games in. I know I am definitely not going to work on Friday, so I will be there. And I know that Gareth and Deej are coming up early. I know Tim is coming up on the Thursday night, so he'll be about. So there will be a fair few people kicking about at Common Ground on the Friday if you want to come in and get some practice games or just come down and chat to the rest of the guys. Felix, will we be twittering?
We will be twittering on the day. The hashtag will be TSC 2018. And I guess I'll be taking photos and tweeting as much as I can. Obviously, if I'm the spare player, it might be a little bit less. Which also, I guess, if anyone's listening when this comes out and has got that weekend free and thinks, hey, you know what, I fancy coming along. We've still got spots. You can take my spot. So just drop us a message on the forum or somewhere, and we can all sort that out.
Absolutely. I know Paul and I will try and tweet as well on the Scottish Wildlands Twitter stuff. We'll try and get some pictures and stuff up. You might not be able to see a lot of my pictures because, you know, the tears will cover the camera lens, but I will try my best. Before we close, I just want to thank Felix for coming on and struggling with us with my Wi-Fi over the last 3 hours. So thank you very much, Felix. Thanks for running the tournament, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
So if you want to get in contact with us, you can do so via Twitter at Scottish Ninth Age. You can drop us an email at scottishwildlings@gmail.com. You can get us on the forum. I'm Lost Cause. Paul is Space Goblin. Felix is F Thunder. Any final words, Paul?
Just say to everyone coming to the tournament, looking forward to meeting you guys and having some fun throwing some dice.
Absolutely. And we'll see you all there.